no big deal. Anyway, we were tricked. Who who's playing tricks?
Hey, what?
Somebody's playing tricks.
When?
You restarting the clock.
Yeah,
I
I was
don't
just
know
trying to
what
figure out why it stopped.
Didn't stop out in the
No, not the clock. The background image of the timer. Like I let it just for now. We are live. Just I have to view it on YouTube to see what it's doing. But yeah, it should be looping. Like it should go right through and then come back around again. Oh well. What have you put in the internal, Pip?
At Tony D's channel,
Okay.
because we're saying it was.
I wouldn't worry about it too much, Terry.
We're saying it's got lots of different music on it.
I'll have a look at it another time.
Don't need to.
Playlists.
Yeah,
Oh.
just playlists.
Oh well, welcome everybody. What's today? Wednesday. I
Yes,
think.
it's the 1st of July.
Oh, punch and a pinch for the first day of the thing.
Something.
And it's typical British summertime over here. It's grey and it's raining.
Oh, just normal then.
Yeah, just like I said, it's British summertime. Yeah, cold and wet and horrible.
Now, last time we were meant to do typewriters, but I'd have to Google it again because I've lost all the info I had about it from last week. It won't take much to find it again. We only need a bit of a citation and history. No, I couldn't think of any other derp to play, but I thought this person's good for a laugh. Where is it? Somewhere. Now I won't play it right from the very beginning. I'll put the subtitles on. Hint, hint. And I might. I didn't say anything.
And yeah, but we all know how the subtitles really struggle to understand what he's going on about.
Yeah, so this person's down their shed. Hint, hint.
Well, there you go. Shed rage.
So we'll see what he's going on about. He only brought it out today, within the last 24 hours anyway. Well, it says July 1st on here.
Oh, it's hot off the press then.
Yeah,
It's
hot.
Because it's only 10:30 in the morning here, so.
Yeah, it's got July 1st here. Today.
He must have wet the bed. Got up early.
Yeah.
Made a video.
I'll go back.
Excuse me.
I'll go back a little bit, okay? Because he does run into some stuff there, but then he gets into something like some sort of what's the word for it? Explanation with his little whiteboard thing. So this will be interesting.
Yeah.
See what he's going to get wrong this time.
I can see a very simple way, and it could be we can limit the cost of this, and I'll get to it in a minute. So what I was asking these chaps here was an example, just so that you know and you understand that regardless of the topography of the ground underneath us, so if we started here with a sloping piece of earth, what the proposition is this: if because here's the thing, on the globe, regardless of what anybody believes, even on a globe, plumb, it doesn't matter, because plumb is always relative to the centre of the earth, so that's always the starting reference point. Okay, so if we start then with, you know, an example like a piece of ground like this, and we have a plumb line, you know, you just need to excuse that it's not perfectly straight for this purpose, but, you know, we assume here that we've got a perfect plumb, okay, and we construct a post here. Now what we would have is we would construct, this is the relative position, this is the relative starting point. So what we would have, you know, squared blocks. Obviously I'm not going to draw them squared, but squared, you know, if you don't understand, look up the definition of squared. And what we do is we construct each block relative to the starting position and relative to each other as we build along. So
Oh, it's not on about
square,
this again.
Same dimensions, square blocks, out like this.
Didn't he do?
If we had a hill,
Yes.
Was he the one that was doing it with the little Legos or something, and or was it
Yeah.
somebody else?
Yes.
So,
No,
so,
it was,
so farmers, why doesn't he just get a couple of RSJs and weld them together, and use his spirit level to level them off?
No, don't. Don't, please. Oh dear. Yeah, of course. What would the steel do? That's right. It would bend.
It would bend.
I know that because we
what
used to
you
have some
see
what I
is
thought
that
bloody
there's
strong
an
steel, and if it's
increase
long enough, it bends.
in the gap from there to there as opposed from here to here. Now that would be detectable, that would be measurable. Okay, so the proposition then would be, well,
It's right in theory to do this, what he's drawn, yes. You can't deny that. Like drawing it out on a piece of paper with all straight lines. Yeah.
let's identify
The squares
a
aren't very
region.
square,
So if we
but
can get people to agree upon the curvature rate
Well, he said to look up the definition of squares, because I don't think he knew.
of the supposed globular earth and how much it curves over, say, half a mile, what we can then achieve is that we could dig a trench on a beach. We can dig a trench, and then we can fill that trench with water, let the water settle. So there's people out there that believe that the standing body of water is actually curving, it has to curve with the earth.
Has anyone tried to dig a hole on the beach and fill it with water?
You normally don't have to fill it with water, Terry, if you dig deep enough.
No, it does it its bloody self.
and then it all falls in.
That's it. And that's killed people before now.
Oh dear.
So
People
if
digging
the
big
water
holes in
was
the
actually
sands,
curving
you get to a
downwards
point where it all slumps on
relative to
top
the
of you.
starting position,
Yeah.
again we would place the plumb line. And if the body of water was actually curving as we build, again the same principle, because this here has got nothing to do with the topography or the earth underneath. This is only relative to the plumb line and being square, perpendicular to the plumb, and we construct it and we build it out, say over half a mile. What we're going to see again in the first example is a difference from here to the end point. What should happen is that we should get a gradual increase in the gap from the bottom of the construct to the surface of the water. Okay, this can be done.
Let's
It's not going to cost.
let's
a
assume
whole
that
lot.
we're going to make these blocks out of very light material. Let's say polystyrene.
Mhm.
He
Can
wants
we
to go
can we
out
call it
half a
unobtainium?
mile. Let's call it unobtainium. He's going to go out a half a mile. Does anybody have any idea how much a 5 gram mass with a leverage of half a mile length, what the torque would be on his post? It would be insane.
Yes.
No. Dell just thinks they're just going to be suspended in mid-air by themselves. There's going to be no forces applied. They're just going to float there.
Well, he is
for you.
insane, so
Yeah, there is that to it. Yes.
Well, let's be honest. You know, you can do the very simple test at home. You can pick up a broom in the center of its mass, and it's fairly easy to pick up. Not a problem. I don't know. I get the kids to clean up, but you grab that broom right at the opposite end to the head, at the very, very end, and hold it out straight in front of you, as perfectly straight as you can, with your arm outstretched. And leave it there until your arm gets tired. You know, It's not gonna. You're not going to keep it up there for anywhere near as long as you think you're going to.
I've never had a problem keeping it up, but I understand the.
That's what blue pills are for.
Yeah. I was waiting for someone to go there when Peter said that.
Money. What
You're
we
welcome.
need to get involved is we need people who are curious and interested about it. And as I say, we can put this to bed once and for all.
Oh, okay. So he wants to raise funds to do an experiment that can't be done because physics won't allow it.
Straight up and down. You know, it doesn't matter if you believe in a globe or whatever you believe in. That's the relevant starting position. And if we construct from that point, we should see a deviation of the topography of the earth underneath us. In this proposition, we're talking about the surface of the body of water. So, for me, we all know we have plumb and we have level. Okay, and this here is perfect 90 degrees. So we would, each block would be squared and it would be relative to the starting plumb line, which would be this part here. Okay, and as we construct that out, if the earth and the body of water was indeed curving, you would be able to detect that would be measurable. So as I say, that is not going to cost a whole lot of money. We don't have to have endless debates and beliefs, misunderstandings. You know, we can put it to bed once and for all. And I want to put it to bed once and for all. Let's establish what's actually going on
Security bed.
in regards to the shape of the earth.
Yeah.
And we can
Keeps
make
putting
this
it to
happen.
bed all the
If you're
time.
serious about making it happen, get in touch. Anybody out there with, you know, access to materials, you know, anything that we can use tool-wise to make this happen, I would love to hear from you. So, and again, you're going to hear what the people in the real world who construct think about this and what they would expect to see. And regardless of what you expect to see, reality will show us what is actually going on.
What's your name, bud? What's your name, bud?
Peter McDonald.
Peter, how's it going, Peter? Peter, the test is, right, we've got a plumb line, right, you know, a plumb line, and we've got it next to a steady body of water. So we dig a trench a mile long, we fill it with water, let the water settle so it's nice and levelled. Got a plumb line at one end of it. For that plumb line we build one post, and each block we build is squared to the post. Will the water line underneath align with the bottom of the construct, or will the gap start to increase as we go along building it?
We started increase.
We can start to increase.
I don't know.
So the water level line,
It's level.
right,
Right.
if we build a post at the edge of it,
Right.
we put our first brick, so the first brick's square to the post, perpendicular with the water. So it's a square block, and we build square blocks, square to each block, all the way along the water. Will the gap at the bottom of the block between it and the water increase, or will it stay the same all the way along the body of water?
Stay the same.
Why was that? So that's how water behaves.
That's it.
Water finds its level.
That's it, finds level.
So, do you think that's what would happen if we built it?
Aye.
You ready to go?
Aye.
Right, cheers my man. Right, how you doing guys? My name's Del. How you doing, Del? Right, the puzzle is, we dig a trench a mile long, okay? We fill that trench with water.
Who's going to dig this trench a mile long?
Who's knows?
Somebody's got to dig it.
I'm still trying to work out where he's going to find somewhere and cut through everyone's property and cut a trench a mile long.
Well, he said on the beach. There's a mile long beach somewhere.
Yeah. You watch the greenies get upset at him doing that. You'll have Greenpeace turning up to roll the whale back into the water.
And we wait till the water settles, right?
Right.
How would you describe the surface of that?
Not very good.
No, the surface of the water, how would you describe it? Once we dig the trench and we fill it with water a mile long, how would you describe the surface from one end to the other?
It's smooth, isn't it?
Level.
Level, aye.
Right, so at one end of that then, we build a plumb line,
Aye.
and then from that plumb line, right, we get a post, and we build one block which is squared, perpendicular for the post and the water line. So we've got a perfect square block, and we build the blocks all the way across the top of the water surface. Would the bottom of the blocks line up with the level of the water, or would the gap increase from the bottom of the blocks to the water as we went along?
Go with the bottom of the water, would it?
The water would always align, it would always be the same gap from the bottom of the bricks all the way across, wouldn't it? Because water always finds its level.
That's right.
When you build things plumb and square, it's always going to show, you've always get true level. I'm trying to get this done. The reason why I'm trying to get it done is because people are trying to tell me that curved, level actually means curve. People believe that if I dig a trench a mile long and fill it with water, that the water's actually curving. Because they say, can it be curving, can it?
No.
Do you think the world's a round ball?
That's a mystery, that one, isn't it?
But if I build this construct, right, and the world really was curved, that would show it, would it no?
Of course it would.
Of course it would. What's your prediction if we get it done?
I reckon it'll be level.
You reckon it'll be level? So you're going to consider then that the world's not a round ball the way they show you in the TV?
Maybe it's flat.
What's your experience of reality? What do you experience it as?
So what do you reckon yourself? Just experience what's on the TV, a round ball, don't you?
You're on a ball. What's your direct experience of reality? Never mind the TV. What do you experience it as?
Flat.
Flat. No curvature anywhere. Bodies of water don't curve, they stay level. Surface is always level. That's your experience. But you would doubt that based on what you see on the TV?
On the TV, eh?
Would you doubt it then?
Well, it's what you see, isn't it?
So where does your mind go now that I've pointed this out to you?
On the air.
So do you think it's a worthwhile endeavour then, because the earth's never been measured to have curvature, and if we get this done, dig a trench half a mile long, build a platform across the top of the water, it would show us one way or another whether it was curving or no. You agree with that?
Probably.
Do you think it's a worthwhile endeavour?
It's worthwhile endeavour, right?
Excellent. I'll be putting it out there and hopefully people will volunteer to get involved in it.
Alright.
Pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thanks man. What did
He done what he had to do.
No worries. Appreciate it guys, thanks. Universities, and I'm trying to challenge them, challenge the physics. So I'm trying to get this done because, there's no scientific experiment that can prove that the Earth's round. But if we build this, then it'll prove once and for all that water lies flat all the time. Doesn't it curve? Thank you guys.
That's it, I'm convinced it's flat.
I'm convinced El's an idiot.
I hope I meet him one day when I'm up in Glasgow.
It's not creepy at all, a stranger coming up to your car or your fence and yelling stuff to you and saying...
At least he's going up to adults and not children.
Yes, there is that, I suppose.
Well, Pip, I was going to say, I hope you never meet him because you've only just got your car fixed.
Yeah.
I don't drive in Glasgow, you're all right. I would be on the train.
Go for a wee puzzle while you wait? No? Oh, you go. Are you waiting? You did the building work?
No, me,
no. No, that's just me, I've just parked there, you're alright. You better move like that guy in. No, I'm not waiting mate. I'm going to ask you to help me out though. While you're waiting, a wee bit of fun. It's a wee bit of fun, I'll ask you a couple of questions if you're up for it. It's easy as fuck. Just to try to get people involved in it. You up for that? I'll ask you the questions, if I tell you it'll ruin it, is that alright? Right. Hi buddy, my name's Dale. How's you going? Right, the puzzle is, we've got a bit of grun, right? And from one end of the grun, we're going to say it's a mile long, right? So from one end of the grun to the other end, there's a drop of 8 inches, right? But at the first side, the highest point, we build something that's perfectly plumb, right? Now that's our reference point, and from that plumb, what we get is perfectly squared blocks attached to that plumb, and we construct the blocks all the way out, right, across that mile. Would that construct show us the deviation in the drop from the start of the plumb line to the edge of where we're going, the 8-inch drop?
Should do.
It would do, wouldn't it? Because plumb and level will show that. So take it another step further. If I dug a trench a mile long and it was watertight, and I filled the trench with water and I left it to settle so that the water was perfectly still, we would have a nice level equal plane on the surface of the water. Do you agree with that? A mile long trench with water in it, would the surface of the water be nice and level?
The surface would be, aye.
So same again, we start at one side of that trench and we put the plumb line, and we start and we build the square blocks all the way along that mile stretch. Would the water line be lower at one end, or would it be equal all the way along through our construct? Would the construct be parallel with the surface of the water?
Construct would be parallel with the water, but the ground would be different.
Aye, but it's the water that we're going by and the plumb line.
The water and the, aye, should be, aye.
So what I'm trying to push for is to get this done, right? But even if we done it over half a mile, the reason why is because there's people out there that claim the world's a round ball, right? Now, the only way for me that I can come up with to test that would be to build a construct like that. A half a mile long trench, let the water settle, and be built from our datum line, which is the plumb line. And if the water's really curving downwards, then when we build that, the gap's going to increase as we go further along. Would you agree with that?
Aye.
That's what should happen, if it's curving downwards.
If it was long enough, aye.
You ever thought about it?
Not really, no.
If I say to you, how can plumb and level apply to a round ball? How can you fathom that in your mind?
Good question.
Do you believe it's a round ball?
Aye.
Honest, just an honest answer. What makes you believe that? First thing comes to you.
You fly in a plane, you can fly point to point.
Planes fly parallel with the ground, no, they don't curve.
Aye, but if I kept going in that direction, what would you do?
You think you come back? But nobody's ever done that. They've just said all that stuff. That's the point. They say all these things, but the actual measurement, the science isn't there. But if I build this construct, it's going to show it, is it no?
Aye.
Appreciate it for your time, buddy. Think about it, man. Think about it. Cheers. Mate, my name's Dale. How's it going?
I have a question.
The puzzle is...
Go on.
If Dell actually got this built, do you honestly think he'd even fucking believe it?
No.
It'd be exactly the same as when Jeranism had the light shine through his walls.
Yes.
Yeah, but Jeranism, I don't believe Jeranism thinks it's flat at all, but with Dell, I genuinely do think he believes his bullshit.
Yeah, but you know how Jeranism turned around and goes, interesting.
Yeah.
And then he denies everything and says that the producers edited out everything and all that other hogwash that goes with it.
Yeah, but it's like Bob and their gyro. They got a gyro and it gave a 15 degree per hour drift. So they immediately said, well, that can't be right. And then tried to come up with all different ways of altering the experiment so it didn't give a 15 degree per hour drift, and whatever they tried, it still gave the same result. And they just reject it out of hand because, well, that can't be right.
Even though that's what everyone told us that it would be.
Yeah, everyone
and that's what the math said, that's what it should be.
Yeah, and they plug it in. That's what it gives them. Oh, no, it must be wrong. It must be something else, but we don't know what that something else is. Yeah, great way to brush off reality. Well done. Yeah, so he'd never do it anyway, because where's he going to get the money and find somewhere and someone to dig him a mile-long trench and fill it full of water? And then B, he'll just reject what it shows him anyway. But C, why don't you just do this with something slightly more practical? Like, oh, I don't know, hire a surveyor. Do it yourself.
We've got a piece of ground, right? And from the starting point to the end point, it's over half a mile long, right? But it drops down 4 inches from one end to the other, right? If I build my plumb line at the highest end of that, and from my plumb line, that's my starting point, and I build perfectly square blocks from my plumb line all the way across the length of my piece of ground, will the gap increase at the bottom, showing me the deviation of the earth underneath from my construct?
Aye.
It would, wouldn't it? if we jump one further, if I dug a trench half a mile long, and I filled it with water and it was watertight and I let the water settle, I would have a nice level surface, wouldn't I? Half a mile long trench,
And then
filled it with
hasn't
water.
this already been
The
done
surface of the water was
over 3 kilometres with Lego?
Yeah, but that didn't give him the result he wants.
That sounds like a him problem.
Confirmation bias is a bugger.
Show me that it's a nice level length. So same again, at one end of this trench of water I put my plumb line and I build the same square blocks again for that half a mile across the top of the water. Will the gap increase or decrease between the bottom of the bricks and the water surface, or will it just be even all the way? Be even all the way, won't it? Because water always finds its level. Plums, square, can't go wrong with it.
Right.
Do you believe the Earth's a round ball?
No.
Do you think plumbing level can apply to a round curved surface?
No.
Can you get on a curve and still be plumbing level?
No.
But we use
Yes,
plumbing level all the
because
time.
relative.
So what my aim is to try and push for this, to get this built. So we dig a trench half a mile long and we construct a plumb line with bricks that are squared to the plumb, and if the earth was curving downwards from any point, then the water line's going to show it. Would you agree with that? It's worthwhile, is it no? Do you believe it's a round ball?
No. Never thought about it.
Never thought about it. Is what I've said to you made you think about it? Because what I'm saying to people is, like, what does the real world show is what we can demonstrate as compared to what we see on the TV. Because if you think about it, you've never experienced the earth as a round ball, have you?
No.
The horizon's level, water's always level, plumb lines are always perpendicular to the level. Can't be curving.
No.
So, appreciate you for your time. Thanks for the answers, my man.
Nice, mate.
Take it easy. Alright. Right, the puzzle's this, right? We've got a piece of ground, right? And from one end to the other, it drops an elevation of 4 inches, right? Now if I start at the highest end and I put a plumb line there and I build a post that's nice and plumb on that, and then from my plumb line, my post, I build square blocks that are square to each other and I build them all the way out, perfectly parallel with each other, all the way out. Will that show me that the earth underneath's dropping away as we build it out?
If you're building that level?
Aye. Go another step, right? If I dig a trench half a mile long,
Right.
and I fill it with water and I let the water settle, I'll get a nice level surface. You agree with that?
Aye.
Then do the same again. At one end I put a post, plumb, and I build my square blocks parallel each other all the way along that water line. Will the gap increase between the top of the water and the bricks, or will it stay the same all the way?
Should stay the same all the way.
Because water finds its level.
Water finds the same
Plumb's perpendicular to the level all the time. What I want to do is get this done. The reason is, there's people out there that believe that the world's a round ball. No, listen. How can plumbing level apply to a round ball? How can it?
I like the dude in the
You ever
background
thought about
pissing
it?
himself laughing.
Yeah.
Can you get plumbing level on a bar?
No.
He's
No, in the real
tweeting that
world
he's
you
talking to
can't.
a flat earther.
I don't think you can pull the wool over the old bloke's eyes.
You got it.
So if the world really was curving downwards,
Coming downwards.
if I build that construct across the water should start to dip down as I get to the end of it. You agree with that?
Aye.
If it was really curving.
If it's curving, aye.
If it was curving. But it's no curving.
No curving.
I'm going to try and get it done. Cheers for that.
So his idea is not completely stupid.
Yeah,
Can
in
we-
principle.
Can we agree with that?
In principle, yeah.
Like the concept itself is kind of okay. The problem is in the implementation, which I believe is going to be functionally impossible.
Yeah. So it's alright on paper.
Yeah, it's okay until you meet the real world, where the blocks aren't guaranteed to be perfect, like as close as perfect can be when you've got molecules involved. And how are you going to measure that they are perfectly square, like perfectly level, when
They're using
a
the spirit
deviation
level.
of, yeah, but a deviation of a fraction of a degree on the blocks is going to stop the entire thing from working.
I don't know why he's going down the block route when we've already considered to try to do this with beams and all sorts of other things. I don't know why he thinks blocks.
Realistically, he'd have to make all of his measurements up until that last one off something other than the water, which would mean he would have to have a something that's known to be flat to be used as a reference point.
So I think
to put all the blocks up.
I think when he was saying square earlier, he keeps saying square blocks, which does not mean blocks that have sides that are the same length. I'm pretty sure he means blocks that have been squared against each other. So you take a brick, for instance, a normal shaped brick, butt it up against another brick, and then put a straight edge on the top of it, and make sure that there's no gaps. And then you do that with the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and so on. The problem with that is that you can't support that without having sticks going down to your base, down to the ground at some point every couple of bricks, and then you have to make sure that you're not a fraction of a degree out on every single brick, because that'll all add up.
Mm-hmm. And it's like we said before, though, like even if this post that he puts in is some super strength post, and it goes halfway to the center of the earth, so there's no way that it's going to move.
Or unobtainium, yep.
Yeah, of unobtainium. And then
let's make it out of Skrith.
Yeah, and then he makes all these boxes instead of out of bricks or brickwork. If we made them out of, say, girder sections, so each one was a box girder with precise measurements, so that as we bolt each one together, it's essentially making a great big long girder. And once again, even if we make that out of unobtainium, so that its weight doesn't cause it to bend, for him just to do that and make it work.
Could we build this on the moon to make it easier?
Well, he's talking about
gravity then.
He's talking about a mile long, and even the imperfections of where the two faces of the boxes match up. Even if you bolt them up as tight as possible, there's still going to be slight deviation between each box. They're not going to be so perfect that all of these imperfections aren't going to add up by the time it gets to the other end.
And what's this super strength flagpole made out of? That's holding all this up?
Something magical. We're going to use Harry Potter's wand.
Skrith from the Ring World.
No, I thought it was.
If anybody gets a reference.
I skimmed through it when I first seen it and I went, what? What's Del going on about now?
Oh, hello, they're getting ready for another spacewalk.
It's about as practical as Daniel Pratt's big beam across a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But essentially, it's the same thing.
Or is it Bev with his multiple water levels?
But it's level horizontal.
No, it's not.
No, I know that, but
the thing is that over a mile, in good conditions and away from the water. Let's do this away from the water. Visual sighting using a fairly inexpensive to hire theodolite, which would cost far less to hire a couple of theodolites for a weekend than it would to construct this thing that he's talking about.
Yes.
He could demonstrate it easily.
That's why he doesn't
Zenith
do it.
angles are freaking simple.
Yeah, but that's why they don't do this. Because they know it's relatively simple to do, and they know exactly what it will show them.
Yeah.
The Earth, it ain't flat.
No, it isn't.
And I'm sure actually most of these people do realise that.
Actually, we could do it on a beach. Dig some holes to get the level of the ocean. Let them fill in by themselves so that we've got something as a reference point. Make sure that we set our target at, I don't know, 5 feet above that reference point, and then sight on it from 5 feet above a reference point a kilometre away or a mile away, and we'd get the same results. Zenith angles would not match. Then you only need one theodolite.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't find this resources that I had for the typewriter thing. Bugger. Oh. How long have we been going for? Oh, we've been going just for an hour. I did have the background image of a typewriter that was... I can't even find it now. The same image. Who invented it, I suppose. No, I just keep getting up modern ones. We had an image of an old one. I might have to skip it again. Okay.
Terry.
I've been with it the last couple of days. I've been working on the car stuff and it's taken it out of me.
No, that's fair enough.
No. Yeah, the modern typewriters didn't start to show the QWERTY ones until at least the 1800s. What I found before that was just a different system of use of how they got. Where was it? That picture, I think it was. Yeah, here we go. This probably wasn't it, but do for now. It'll give us some information. It was who invented the first typewriter anyway. The word typewriter is the longest word you can type using just the top row of a QWERTY keyboard. Did you know that? Do now.
I think
that's a new one for me.
Yeah.
I think I might have done and probably forgot it. Yeah.
That's a bit of useless information.
I'll try and store that away for later use in
yeah, you'll
quizzes.
never know when you need it again.
Yeah.
That might come out in the quiz with Pip.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. So what's the second row?
So you're saying that QWERTY isn't a word then?
QWERTY?
No, it's not.
QWERTY.
No, it's not. Not in English, anyway.
Okay, so Francesco
Rampazzetto.
Okay.
Oh, now that's a name. Francesco Rampazzetto, the Elder.
An Italian typographer and publisher, invented the scrittura tattle.
Yeah, scrittura tattle.
A machine that impressed letters on pages. This was in the year 1575. In 1714, though, okay, it's a couple of 100 years difference, British engineer Henry Mill patented a machine for transcribing letters. Here we go. None of these machines managed to capture the attention of the public. The prototypes were strange in appearance and probably did not generate the required confidence to persuade people to purchase one. Okay. Well, the other title I was going to do tonight was pen, the quill pen. So for everything that was sort of written, for everything that was written out, the typewriter would have superseded the writing. So, in one sense, because I was looking into it for the use of the quills for all the old maps and everything that were drawn and back in Shakespeare's time and all that sort of stuff. Was I right? Where was I? Prototypes were strange in appearance and probably did not generate the required confidence to persuade people to purchase one, ranging from writing balls covered in letters to cumbersome frames that were more or less ignored by the public. It took Charles Latham Scholes, Carlos Linden and Samuel Soleil or something to really bring the typewriter to the public eye. The first commercially successful typewriter was released and available to the public in 1868. Charles later came up with the now popular QWERTY-based layout of the keyboard. The keyboard was arranged in a manner to avoid the keys getting jammed. So that's the reason.
Can I just say that the whatever font they've used for that text is bloody awful.
How do you think? Well, I'm trying to read it.
No, exactly. It is that is an awful font. Crush knows what it's called.
Awful.
Yeah, but it's interesting that we're talking about typewriters and they use an awful font.
Okay, so that doesn't change much, does it? We've got the 1, 2, 3 and all that across the top. Minus, is it meant to be minus and plus there or something? Or they've got minus couple of, I can't work out what that one is.
Maybe that's the dash and the underscore possibly.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well they're in the same position. Unless that's backspace. That's still the backspace one there.
Well, more importantly, where's the one?
Oh, that's an I.
You use the I for that.
I just say there's no backspace on a typewriter.
No.
Yeah, unless it's electric.
Which
no, so I can remember my dad had one of those electric typewriters that had the
look with
the whiteout roll on it.
Yeah, the whiteout roller on it as well. But so it had a cylindrical barrel full of the letters. So as you push the number or the letter on the keyboard, it would orientate the ball in the right position to strike the paper. And yeah, it had a whiteout built into it as well. So if you hit the backspace, it deleted the letter.
That was a posh one there.
Mm.
Oh,
then the next
he was a
the
bank
next generation of them were the ones that had a little one-line buffer that you could type into, and then when you hit the enter,
that's right.
it would type out the line, and then feed the paper and return to do a carriage return.
Yeah, see, that doesn't have a one either. I guess you use the I.
See, and the magic lever on the right hand side to go between black and red ink.
Like that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you go back up to the ink, see how there's black and red.
Mm-hmm.
So the lever would orientate that up and down so that when you hit the number, it was either printing in the red ink or it was printing in the black ink.
Which is very cool, but terribly inefficient.
Yes.
Look at in box.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know. Got gears on that one for it.
I'll look into it a bit more, as the time passes and see if I can find some more information about it. Now,
Yeah, the ones with the stroke levers were a pain in the ass. They were so easy to jam up.
especially when you hit about 4 or 5 keys at the same time.
Oh,
Just two. You only needed two.
Okay.
I used one of those when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
yeah, they're horrible.
Oh, you can press 2 of them together and they'll jam. Yeah.
Yep. Because the stroke of each of the little hammer arms puts the end of it in the same place. So if you hit one and then hit the other one at almost the same time, it would either come in and strike the back of the first one, or the two of them would try and move into the same spot and jam together.
I can remember having so much fun seeing how many of the keys I could hold down by just holding down one key.
Yeah, that's what I was
So
thinking.
you put up, yeah,
Yep,
you
used to
put
do
up
that
all
too.
the letters, all of the letters one at a time, and then you'd hold them all up with just one key, and then you'd let them go, and they'd all slowly bang back into position or get stuck.
Yeah, you'll get stuck, yeah. I know my wife had a typewriter, but I don't know if it was a... Oh, it was a mechanical one. A little mechanical one. Yeah. It went to St. Vinny's. It's probably collectible now.
Yeah, God knows where
people
mine is. I had
reckons.
one of the ones that
Okay. What do you got here, Peter?
Just some more stuff and things about typewriters.
Okay, I guess
A few pictures.
What do you find? Okay.
Goes into when the first copyrights were done on them, or the first painting, should I say?
Okay, you're around the right era, 1700. So, since the 14th century, when the idea of writing machines became technologically feasible, more than 100 prototype models were created by over 50 inventors around the world. Some of the designs received patents, and a few of them were even sold to the public briefly without much success. The first such patent was issued to Henry Mill, a prominent English engineer, in 1714. The first American patent for what might be called a typewriter was granted to William Austin Burt of Detroit in 1829. I'd say that might be him there. However, the breakthrough came in 1867 when Christopher Latham Scholes of Milwaukee, with the assistance of his friends Carlos Glidden and Samuel W. Hull, invented the first typewriter. Okay. Scholes' prototype model, which is still preserved by the Smithsonian Institution, incorporated many of, if not all, the ideas from the early pioneers. The machine looked something like a cross between a small piano and a kitchen table, as one historian observed. Else interesting?
They've got different versions as it went on,
Yeah,
as well, different pictures and.
The QWERTY keyboard. Is that a typo?
Possibly.
Yes.
Yes. Almost certainly.
Establishment of the market for writing machines was the next great obstacle in the path of promoters. Practically no one was interested in paying $125 for a typewriter. Yeah, that's expensive. That is expensive. Promoters were forced to adopt a policy of lending a machine to each of several hundred houses in a hope that someone would find time to practice. They also had the full belief that this practicing would convince a number of people that a saving of time as against handwriting was possible. wasn't until 1878 when Remington introduced its model number 2. A reliable and efficient writing machine was born. It had the look of a modern typewriter in black enamel paint. The number 2 typed both upper and lower case thanks to the invention of a shift key. However, it took nearly a decade for the Remington 2 to become the first successful commercial model, and the typewriter industry was on its way. Oh, there you go. A funny looking one here. Before 1893, distinct classes of typewriters had been developed and extensively used. One of these was the Hammond, with all the type on a wheel. I'd say that's this one, isn't it? Like it could be that one.
Yeah.
And equipped with a double shift for capital letters.
And figures.
Fingers. Oh, sorry, I was answering the door. Somebody was knocking at the door. Figures. Another class was equipped with a double keyboard for upper and lower case, while a double keyboard allowed the operator to access all the characters without using a shift key. The operator had to learn the position of a different key for both small letters and capitals. The third class, representing the most popular, was that which incorporated an individual type bar principle with a single shift keyboard, each bar carrying 2 typefaces, small and capital letters. This popular construction, however, still lacked the quality. I don't know what's going on here with this typing. Quality.
Vital quality.
Yeah,
Right, does no work.
Yeah, talking about typewriters, and there's all these bloody errors.
Typos, yeah.
Of allowing the operator to see each character as it was printed. Okay.
You want me
the
to
early
do
years
that?
of typewriter history, the understroke or blind writing machine that had such widespread use and acceptance that few looked at for any other radical change in construction. While Remington introduced its approved model number 2, one advertisement quickly declared that there was no longer any achievement left for the typewriter industry, because this model was everything the machine could be. But as always, there were a few individuals who reasoned that the capacity of the typewriter could be vastly increased by some new arrangement of type bar action, and which would allow the actual printing to be done in full view of the operator. This would eliminate the great inconvenience of lifting the plates in order to see what it had been written. Yes, you want to see what you're typing.
Oh, there is a video of that. I'm just checking to see if you can use it or not.
I wouldn't trust it. I know it would be nice to see some old things like that in action. We've got a new guy, Paul.
Quite interesting, though.
A guy with a good hairdo.
Morning, Tony.
Yeah.
Morning,
Yeah.
Tony.
Pretty fancy hairdo, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know who it is, Terry?
Oh, yes.
Isaac.
Isaac Newton.
No, it's not Isaac Newton.
That's
In
what's
fact,
the
it's
old-
Isaac Newton's arch. It's Isaac Newton's arch rival,
Which would
Ah.
be Halley.
not Halley.
Then Leibniz?
Nope.
You're going to have to narrow it down a little bit.
You'll have to buy a clue, Tony.
He was the guy that built all the equipment for Boyle. He was a curator of the Royal Institute. He was the first person to postulate evolution before even the other guy.
Darwin.
Harvard.
He anticipated the inverse square law of gravity before Newton.
Did he participate in the translation of the hieroglyphics?
No, he developed the use of microscopes and sparked much interest in microscopes by publishing a book called Micrographia.
Now, when was Hook around?
At the same time.
All right. So is
Well,
it Hook?
It is Hook.
I
Yes,
thought that was
Robert
coming.
Hook. Robert Hook. Yes.
Never
Yes,
In which
Arch,
case,
a lot of.
in which case, the answer to the hieroglyphs question is yes.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that one. So yeah. So there you go. Yes, he was one of Newton's arch rivals. A lot of competition between the two, because of course Hooke proposed the wave model of light, and Newton was a big one for the corpuscular model of light. And the two
Yes.
argued about who was correct. Turns out both of them were.
Weirdly. Yeah, but let's just say that Newton was a bit of a dick and had
A bit. I think that's understating it immensely.
and had a larger array of potential arch rivals than many scientists.
I got a good quiz
Yeah.
out in the peanut gallery. People are going to try to type their username without looking at the keyboard. Tuss tried to do it. It didn't work.
I have to say, my boss can do it. He can type pretty much anything without looking at the keyboard. So,
Oh, Pippa rot.
There you go, Terry.
Oh, brainy rewind. Oh, Peter, you got it first go.
Every time, Terry.
Yeah, you get it right first time every time.
does it count if I type it without looking at your keyboard?
No, you got to do it without looking at your own keyboard.
So you know what the trick is, Tony? Don't look at your keyboard. Just type it on your phone.
Ah.
And I put
That's cheating, and I love it.
I'll put your hand down for you, Peter, because you raised it accidentally.
Oh, it must have been when I just hit my keyboard.
Can I change mine
I
to...
type all day, every day for a living, so I'd be surprised if I couldn't do it.
Yeah, if I look at my keyboard, it just puts me off.
Oh, Farmer's nearly got it. F-A...
Farmer's Jew.
Joy. Okay.
Farmer's Jew.
Farmer's Jew.
Roma.
I will quite openly say that I can't touch type, but I can type with several fingers, but I need to be looking at the keyboard.
Next finger's on the home key, the little bump, and then you just go from there.
I've tried touch typing and I just can't do it, so sod it.
Bumps. Home keys.
I did actually once experiment with one of those ergonomic keyboards, you know, when they sort of split in the middle and bend around.
Oh, those silly looking things.
Yeah, well, they're very comfortable
Hideous.
to type on, but if you're using AutoCAD for any length of time, what you tend to do is you do all of your typing with the left hand because you don't let go of the mouse.
Mm.
If you have to keep letting go of the mouse and reaching over and going backwards and forwards, it's a real pain in the ass. So I actually had to abandon it because if you're typing with your left hand and you've got an ergonomic keyboard, trying to type anything on the right-hand side of the keyboard with your left hand is virtually impossible because
Fred,
it bends the wrong bloody way.
Fred, you got F right. An R.
No,
You got the D. Got a D.
Frid's Q poo.
Stewie said he can type spaces without looking.
Hey.
Well,
Yes,
I,
well-
for one, am incredibly impressed.
That of course is where you keep your thumb at all times. It hovers over the space bar because that's the return key. Certainly in AutoCAD it is.
I haven't seen any spares commas yet.
Space comma.
Space comma. What I'm forever doing is typing TEH instead of THE.
Yeah.
I'm always doing that. I don't know why. It's just one. You go and type it. Oh, hang on. Let me just spell check the and the and the.
Oh, that's given me an idea for the next lot of derp after today's.
You must have the same thing as what Carl's got then. because Carl does the same thing.
There you go. All right. Have you done with typewriters? Or are you doing more on typewriters too?
No, that'll do us. We've been going for an
All
hour
right.
and a bit.
So you're after some hilarity, are you?
Oh, okay
Ways.
then. Oh, Peter, show off
What?
your avatar.
Oh,
Pretty picture.
it's a pretty picture.
I keep looking at your picture and then looking and wondering if the sun's actually shining off Tony's head or not.
You ready?
Yeah, we're ready. We're sharing. I'm gonna have to show Tony how to get an avatar.
Today we've got unusual cars that we're going to look at.
Oh, can I name the car?
Yeah, what are you going to name this one?
It's an Edsel.
Yeah, a bit of an unusual one though. You could always dig yourself out if you got bogged, I suppose.
Echo and all.
The only thing I'd worry about with this one is, what if you happen to accidentally slip backwards a little bit while you're driving?
That's gravity. Gravity.
Ouch. Yeah.
Gravity. That's what the mud flaps are for.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
If you go through a puddle, you'd get a stripe, wouldn't you? Oh dear. Have a few speakers on your car, hey?
You mean have a car on your speakers?
Car on a few speakers, yeah. Oh dear.
Wonder if he has extra alternators just to power it.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing like a plush interior.
Yeah, it is. It is plush. That's a very plush interior.
And not only that, but the exterior seems to be grass flay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit flopped, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
That's for deep puddles.
It's called the High Rider. I love it.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yes.
Oh Lord.
You wouldn't be caught dead driving that around.
People eater.
Yeah.
Fast food.
Fast food. Extremely fast food.
Make a trike.
You get fries with that?
Yeah.
Oh no.
This has got to be like a weird alternate reality speed racer machine.
Yeah. It's almost like they've taken a Hot Wheels and rebuilt it life size.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where the hell are his intakes?
Yeah, exactly. Put your foot in the pedal and get ejected out the back through the engine.
A fine red mist.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Pussy mobile.
That looks like a advertising vehicle for one of the cat food brands.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no, let's go off-roading.
I'm liking that.
It's a hill climber.
Being a lover of tanks, that appeals to me.
Yeah.
Now, if you put a bull bar on the front of that, no one would get in your way at all, would they?
Yeah, no one's going to argue with you, are they?
Actually, a bulldozer blade.
That certainly doesn't have any overhang problems at the front. I mean,
no,
that's just going to engage with the terrain, isn't it?
Yep.
But
No.
and rather than a pusher blade, you want the mind flayer extension.
Oh yes, rotating drum with balls on chains. Gotta love it. The good old
Oh,
flail
dear.
tank.
Yeah.
Blimey.
Oh goodness.
That's just so
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It is a bit. You can see it bowing in the middle, can't you?
Does look like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Curvature confirmed.
Yep. Now,
Oh, it's a
would you be
mobile
booked-
phone.
Would you be booked? Would you be booked for being on the phone as you're driving this?
Did anyone get his number?
Yeah.
Operator 42, I'd like to place a call.
Right, 42.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
It looks like a grasshopper.
Grasshopper.
Yeah. Just enough room for one.
Now, I really don't see the point of these. Just get yourself a bloody motorbike.
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
won't look such a prat.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you're in an accident and your boot's damaged, just make yourself a wooden boot.
hang on. Did you get that off the subreddit that's called Redneck Engineering? I think that's what hang on, let me just have a look. Yes, that is one of the subreddits I'm a member of. It's
Yeah,
called
when you
Redneck
can't get
Engineering.
parts for your car anymore, just make your own. Now you know why this one's built like a tractor. It has to be built like a tractor.
It certainly does. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
He's installed the airbags the wrong way round.
Well, at least when he accelerates, he's got something to cushion his head.
Yeah.
Well, he's got somewhere to rest his head, hasn't he? When the acceleration gets too much. Oh, yeah, that'll do,
Oh, dear.
yeah. Oh,
Sorry. That's a pity, man.
Oh no.
Yeah. I reckon this one, gee, he's just got such a cool look on his face, that guy.
Yeah.
he's got his cap on back to front, and he's got his
Yeah,
pipe on the
yeah.
go. Yeah,
Yeah, the pipe
Yeah.
really makes it.
that does.
Yeah,
The
it
pipe
does.
sets it off.
And he's probably turning along at 10 mile an hour.
That's ambitious.
Yeah.
With one cylinder, 2-stroke.
Yeah. I want to know where this guy's legs are.
No, we're having a thing. It's like
Is-
he can't.
Is he an amputee?
I think you'll find that there's an awful lot of room up front because the engine's behind him.
Yeah. He
Behind
must
him.
have his legs crossed in front of him, though. They can't be sticking out.
No.
He must be in the lotus position.
No, I think his feet are sort of in those front corners somewhere.
Yep.
It'd still be a tight fit though. His knees will be either side of the steering column.
It looks like the entire front section of the car flips up.
Yeah.
Everything
I'd
above that
like-
line.
It's
I'd
similar
like-
to the
Yeah.
old Bond. It's similar to the old Bugs and things that I used to drive around. The engine's in the back. The engine will be directly driving that rear wheel.
I'd like
And
to
it'd be a
point out
piddly
one
little
thing though.
Grief.
Yeah.
Well,
You want me to go back to it? Yeah.
yeah, just quickly. I'll have you notice where his eye level is, and then at the height of the windscreen wiper.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
completely inadequate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's meant to be a
That's a-
transformer of some sort, but it's
Yes.
not.
Oh,
It
it's
looks
got
like he's
transformer
tried to do
logos
the-
on it.
It also looks a little bit Batmobile.
Yeah,
There's
but it's got
five
it's got the transformer logos on the front, hasn't it?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Autobots or whatever.
This
Red
one's
lobster.
a bit fishy.
Don't be out of it. Right. All you can eat.
Yeah, don't leave it parked out in the
Yeah.
sun.
Oh, dear.
Oh, that's what we're
Oh,
talking
there you
about.
are, farmer.
Yeah. There you go, farmers.
No, it needs
I think I
tracks.
built that in Crossout.
Oh, it hasn't got tracks, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a definite Mad Max theme there. Oh, now.
Oh,
yes.
I remember them.
Is that the 2-seater version?
No,
No, it's the twin
No.
Because they
twin
did,
front
they,
wheel one.
They did make a 2-seater version as well. I'm pretty
That
sure.
was that
was
was a
only for
Tyrrell, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that Tyrrell that built that? They were having trouble getting adequate front end grip, and so some clever Pratt thought, well, why don't we not have 2 front wheels but have 4 smaller front wheels to increase the contact area between tire and track, because that's always the biggest problem with motorbikes. Motorbikes have got lots of power and go very fast, but there's actually very little contact between the tire and the track. And they were having the same problem with their F1 cars. So somebody said, well, hang on, if we had 4 smaller front wheels, would that give us greater contact? But I just don't think they can get it to work properly, and it was quite impractical.
Well, obviously not, because you don't see them around anymore.
No,
it was also outlawed.
Yes. Lots of clever ideas got outlawed. I mean, it was worth a punt, but you're better off spending your time developing the rubber compound of the tyre than you are going down that route. But it's nice that people say, well, hang on, why don't we give this a go? You know, because that's what motor racing should be about. You've got a set of ingenuity, working around. This is engineering in its purest. It's like, we've got a problem. How can we solve it? And somebody said, why don't we try this? So they did.
Yeah. Good.
So much aerodynamics has come out of that as well.
Oh God.
So why don't we try this?
Because it looks bloody ridiculous. That's what
it does, doesn't it?
And that
it's a pig from Angry Birds.
Oh dear.
Oh my God.
That's just ugly.
I have to admit that Mad Max was on the telly the other night, the original Mad Max, and I stuck with it just to watch that beautiful V8 Interceptor at the end. This is the kind of car I think Elvis would have owned.
The only problem with this one, Paul, after midnight it turns back into a pumpkin.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
That's one of those the Bond cars.
Yes, it's a Bond bug. It had a 50cc engine, and when I was in my late teens, our local motorcycle dealer in Newmarket had one of these set out front for sale. It had a 50cc engine, so you could technically drive that when you were 16, I believe.
Pretty sure I saw that on an old British sci-fi show.
Quite possibly,
yeah,
yes.
Probably
did, yeah. But if I remember rightly, they had a 50cc, a moped engine in, which means over here when you were 16, because it was a trike, trikes are classed the same as bikes. And if it's a 50cc engine, it's a moped, and at 16, you could drive that.
Cool.
But who'd want to? You know. Oh my lord.
Oh, we've got some accessories on here, I think.
Yeah.
It looks like they started with a hearse, added the back end of another hearse.
And I thought they went to town on the Ghostbusters car.
Oh yeah, yeah, I see that. Ghostbusters 3000.
Yeah, it's Garfield. Oh dear.
Meow mix.
I'm going to call Photoshop.
You think?
Oh no, I've seen this one in quite a number of different positions.
It looks appealing.
There it is. That's another one. Bomb bug.
Yep. There you go.
Oh, that's the one Clarkson drove around BBC around
Yes,
the office.
yes, I think that was the world's smallest car, wasn't it?
He took it through the lift and around all the desks and everything.
Yeah, problem is it doesn't have reverse.
No.
So when he wanted to change direction, he got somebody just to pick the back end of it up and turn it around. I mean, that's what Top Gear was about. It was about having fun.
Yeah.
Nobody did it better than those, particularly him, but those three. You know.
Yeah.
It's a wonder he fitted in it because he's so tall.
Yeah.
Well, he is. Yeah, he is. In medical terms, I think he is classed as a giant because he's that tall.
I love the great big plug in the back of that one. Did you see it?
What, the back one?
Yeah. This one
back.
here.
Plug.
On the back.
Oh, yeah.
On the back, Terry.
Oh, okay.
You can plug it in.
You can plug it in. Yeah.
It's even got a test sticker on it.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Love to see someone try and swallow that goldfish.
Some trolley.
Might block the loo if you flush it.
Cool. Block some.
Also, BJ's.
You can still put a few groceries in that one.
You could take a few groceries home with that.
Yeah. But I don't know if they'd let you take it down the aisle though.
I'm not driving, I'm walking.
How does he see where he's going with the way that...
I've heard of the old woman that lives in a shoe.
Yeah.
Well, this is the old man that bloody left her behind.
I've heard that when you're driving, you put your foot down, but not with the shoe.
Ah, cut and shut.
Yeah, waste of a good truck.
Yeah. Dear, oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Imagine looking in the rear mirror and seeing that.
I've seen somebody Photoshop that onto a great white shark. Now that does look bloody odd.
This vehicle's got a set of balls.
Yeah, cannonballs by the looks of it.
Golden cannonballs.
It's not a tow ball.
No. Oh dear.
Is there somebody in it? You can barely make out.
Yeah.
Yep.
In a suit, in a space suit. As you do.
Yeah.
That's the same as the blue one from earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a red one though.
Except
sorry.
it's red.
It's faster.
Go faster then.
Go faster, definitely.
Yeah, 11 miles an hour.
Oh no.
It's like as if the Corolla had the accident with the high ace and they just left it.
You see, this is why you shouldn't brake test someone.
Another shoe car.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put it in the boot.
Yep.
Wow,
Well,
streamlining.
That's cool.
One of those airliner.
Bit different.
Yeah.
Caravans. Or
Yeah,
something.
very, I don't know, Captain Scarlet or something.
Yeah, late 40s,
Yes,
early
it is a
50s.
bit.
You could almost see the Thunderbirds driving it on holidays, couldn't you?
I was just about to say Thunderbird era. Yeah.
The crosswind would blow the tail fin over a bit.
Yeah.
UFO.
Oh, there you go. There's the original Lost in Space.
No, it's a Volkswagen Beetle with a skirt on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it is, but
It has an identity problem.
Ah, I like that one.
That's a cool.
Me too.
TK421. Why aren't you at your phone?
Could you imagine pulling up behind a cop car in that?
I'm out in the car park.
On the plus side, at least you know that if they start shooting at you, they'll miss every time.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's
like a watermelon.
supposed to be a combi, but it's not.
I was going to say, it looks like a smart car that someone sneezed inside of and it's blowing up.
Polite. I was going to say farted. But this one was unusual.
What's that?
Yeah. That's
Very phallic-y.
Very.
Yeah, so you've got to be in a reclined position in that one, obviously.
Yeah.
You've heard of the lazy boy. That's the lazy car.
Ultimate extension.
Helicopter on the end of it.
It has got a helicopter at the end of it.
Helicopter on the back.
It's got,
Helicopter
got its
pad.
own helipad. Yeah. How would you go around a roundabout in that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you couldn't go through a drive-through. So what's the point?
Yeah.
With the handbrake, Paul.
Well,
Rip the handbrake on.
Drifting.
It's probably got counter steering on the back.
Imagine doing donuts in that.
Yeah, it'd have to be articulated in the middle, though.
Do a handbrakey.
That's the one I'm thinking of. I think it has a pool in it.
Quite
Probably.
possibly,
Yeah.
Yeah, I want this just for cruising down the road.
Yeah, this looks cool. This looks cool.
You reckon we could? We need to get it for Wolfie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I imagine. This would be Wolfie's car for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Man with toys.
Messerschmitt.
Messerschmitt, that's
I think
right.
that one might be a Messerschmitt, yeah.
Yep,
Now,
it is.
I think my dad back in the day, one of his mates had one of these, and he always kept a spare engine in it. but you could. It was a pissy little. I think they were a little 2-stroke engine, much like you'd see in a motorbike, and he had enough room to keep the spare in there in case it broke down, because you could just swap the engines over. But they're also, if I remember,
just
they're
like
also
changing a tyre.
Yeah, it's similar to the one they had in that film Brazil.
Yeah,
it's probably quicker to change the engine than it would be to change the tyre anyway.
Probably, yeah. Now that's an off-roader. Look at that.
Yeah.
Blimey.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh, that would
Turtle power.
Yeah.
He's got a wee turtle head poking out.
Excuse me, gotta go. Touch the turtle's head. Oh.
The ladies' version of the shoe car.
Oh,
I could see us riding that, Pip, couldn't you?
What the hell is?
Oh, that's a Mattel car, isn't it? Or a Hot Wheels car?
I think it might be. Yeah, I think it might be, Terry.
Yeah.
They built a couple of those real cars in real life. Those Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
That looks sporty.
Yeah.
Oh, look, they've
This
got
one.
the airbags on the outside.
I was going to say, do I look fat? Do I look fat in this car?
You like fatty? It looks like it's been bitten
That's
by
a
a bee.
blobfish. That's a blobfish.
Yep. It is.
Oh, this is my favourite. I love this.
I want to know if you can get in it.
We're just going to chop
Roof
the
fell
roof.
out.
We're just going to chop the roof and make it a bit shorter.
Yeah.
But have you seen these when they go? They chuck wheelies really cool.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Put a few bricks in the boot. Whee!
Oh, yeah.
There was a Porsche.
Oh, dear.
Could be a dentist car.
Yeah.
I'm hiding.
It's camouflage.
Yeah, it's camouflage.
You wouldn't have to worry if the birds shat on your car.
And mice and worms.
That'd be an improvement.
Yeah. No one would get near you at traffic lights.
Don't mess with me, baby.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
you'll just feel a slight prick.
That's,
Now,
I've
that's
got
the type of
images.
car you actually run your neighbours over with.
Yeah.
I've got images of a motorbike sneaking up on at the traffic lights, getting caught up on the horn.
So there's an obscure Australian film called The Cars That Ate Parrots.
Yes.
Mhm.
And there's a VW with spikes all over it and that.
That's the one I kept getting confused with the one with David Carradine with that.
Oh, yeah.
That 2000, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a mouse.
What, you mean Death Race 2000?
Yeah, that's the one.
A mouse or a Zumba. Roomba.
Oh.
Here's the one with the lawn on the
Oh,
outside.
it's yours, Terry. Look, Tessa.
Yeah.
How often do I got to mow my car?
That's all right. It's AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Would you be able to take it through the car wash?
Yeah, that's
Just
so
get a hose down.
yeah.
The problem is that every time a dog walked past it, it'd cock its leg on it.
Yeah.
Or a cat would just jump on top and.
Now, if
That
that's actual wood, that's artistry and getting the woodwork to be like that.
That car wouldn't.
It's
That car
amazing.
wouldn't work.
Scoffing.
Yeah.
It
You
wouldn't
get a
work.
bit of scratch on it, you just get yeah. If you get a scratch, you just get furniture polish out.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Ugly cars.
Yeah.
What's that? Motor oil on the side?
It's like yeah.
I thought,
Some sort of tank.
Yeah.
Like a water tank that's.
And there we
over
are.
inside.
We're back to the start.
Oh, well done.
So
thank
there
you.
you go. That was a bit different.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed that.
Oh, that was
That
cool.
was good. Thank you, Gravity.
Thank you.
Now, nobody get any ideas and do that to their car this week.
Huh?
I have to say that the Edsel cat looks kind of cool, but would look better if it was properly done. If you could actually raise and lower the scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Need some hydraulics.
Well, it's got the rams, but they're vertical, so I don't think it's.
Yeah,
I don't think they're real
they're
rams.
It's only meant to be for looks, you know.
Yeah.
But form and function. Why can't we have both?
I'm trying to remember. There used to be a show. I think it was called Monster Garage, and they did a hearse that had a
You're not the one. You're not talking about the one with Jesse James.
Jesse James.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did a hearse that had a backhoe bucket that came out of the boot back half of the where the coffin would be normally, and they had a backhoe that would come all the way out.
Oh,
See, that's what you're talking about.
Yep.
That's a flail tank. That's the Sherman Crab down at Bovington.
Like what Dora said, Terry.
Well,
We've used up our whole car allowance for the next month, apparently, Terry.
Yep. At least a month.
Can I just point out one very, very clever idea that they thought of on here? These things drove along at about 1 mile an hour, and that drum would spin round, and the chains would flail the ground with those weighted balls on the end. And the idea was it would explode any buried mines. Now, what was also very good at doing was clearing barbed wire. Notice the plate on each end has got teeth on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the barbed wire got wrapped around that, the teeth would cut the barbed wire up.
Nice.
So not only did you clear the area of mines, and it cleared the entire width of the tank, it would also clear any barbed wire because that would all get wrapped up and shredded and chopped and flung away.
I seem to recall that a lot of these add-ons were actually developed by Montgomery's brother.
Hobart's Funnies.
And the Americans kind of thought that it was rank nepotism, and therefore were very suspicious of them. But they actually turned out to be really effective. And one of the theories for why the Americans didn't do so well on D-Day is because they didn't have properly equipped armor support.
This is the one that this is the only surviving example of a Sherman DD tank, and when you raise the screen, it would float. And this is an example of the tank that the Americans had lots of, and they left them all in the bottom of the channel.
Right. Okay.
Because they launched them far too early. On D-Day, we used quite a lot of them. The Americans had a lot as well, but they launched them far out to sea, where the sea was really choppy. And I think out of about 30 odd, I think maybe one made it to the beach, and all the rest got swamped.
Okay.
The driver had obviously it didn't have the window that they've now added in, so you can see the tank inside. But
they have done tests since as well, and said if they had have launched it closer, it would have been somewhat at a advantage, and it would
Yes.
have made it to
The whole point. The whole point was that you launch these things maybe 1,000 yards out to sea, no more. But the Americans launched them almost miles out to sea, and they never made it. And they're still there to this day. There've been programs where divers have gone down and the seabed is covered in Sherman tanks.
Wow.
And it was these that all got swamped by the seas. But yeah, that's the only surviving example in the world.
You wouldn't think it'd float, would you, with that amount of buoyancy?
Well,
for
it's
the
all to
weight
do
of the
with
tank?
displacement.
Mm.
Because of the height of the screen, the volume inside displaces more water than the weight of the tank. I mean, it's how ships float. They displace.
There you go, Terry.
How was it propelled along
Oh.
along the water with the track?
No, they had a couple of propellers sticking out the back that hooked up to the gearbox.
I vaguely
they-
remember that, Peter. I vaguely remember.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, sorry.
No. Yeah, talking of propellers, there they are. That's the back
Yeah,
end.
at the back.
Oh, okay.
So you've got two propellers to push it in the water. It could do 2 or 3 miles an hour, maybe. And the whole point was that the Germans wouldn't realise that this was a fully functioning tank. And once you got to the beach, you drop the screens, and you've now got a fully functioning tank on the beach.
I think from memory, there was only like a foot 13 inches sitting above the sea level.
Yes.
There wasn't a heck of a lot of skirt sitting above the actual water level, and because of that, obviously the waves were the things that became the issue.
Well,
but
that markings on the front shows you. Yeah, it would be about the 2 foot mark, maybe a little higher than that. The driver had rods extending up through the hatch, and all the crew would sit on the outside of the tank, and the commander would generally stand on top of the turret so that he could look over the top and sort of guide the driver, because the driver couldn't see where he was going.
Mm.
And they'd got escape equipment that submariners would have, because they fully realised the chances were that a lot of them would get swamped.
Well, especially when you launch them in open water.
Yep. Yeah, but the whole point was you weren't supposed to do it that far out, and the Americans did. The Americans turned down a lot of the good ideas that the British came up with. They had midget submarines, the X-craft, and they had them as sort of mobile, like radar stations and guidance positions. So they put these X-craft out, and they remained on the seabed until the right time of the morning in D-Day, and they came to the surface, and they would help guide the landing craft in. And the Americans said, "Yeah, we don't need them." The Americans turned down an awful lot of good ideas that the British came up with, and I think it cost them a lot of lives. But there you go.
I think part of the problem
even though the Americans came into it later.
Well, no, the Americans were. The Americans had sort of the lion's share of D-Day, really.
Hey, Blue.
They had 3 out of the 5 beaches.
Good day, mate.
G'day, Blue.
What? I thought Blue was coming in. That's another Ozzie. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh well.
What's up, guys?
You stole the fun.
Really?
You missed all the derp.
The derp?
Yeah.
Oh,
Already
Del Derp. We had a little bit of Del Derp to start with.
Oh God. I'm glad I missed it.
Yeah.
I can replay it if you want.
I was about to say I could hear it in Blue's voice how much he was upset that he missed it.
Yeah, I'll play it again. Here we go.
Oh no.
Don't do that.
Wouldn't do that.
Well, you're just in time for the quiz, Blue.
The quiz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
We had car derp. Those pictures of the cars we were looking at. Those redneck cars and whatever. Well, they weren't redneck cars.
Some very strange ones.
Custom
Well, there was
car.
the redneck engineering.
Yeah.
That one was funny.
Oh yeah. That one was good.
I think that's the best use of an Edsel I've ever seen. Oh, John's trying to correct you now, Blue.
Yeah, I see that.
Good day, mate.
It's not going to work either.
Right, you all ready then?
No, hang on.
I was born unready.
Can I type my answer in now?
Yeah, go on for it.
Okay.
What, 4?
Science and nature again. We've still got a few to go. Just stop me when my time's up, Terry. Don't let me rub it on.
What are we? We're pushing 2 hours now. So we'll go for about half an hour if it stretches for that long.
Okay. Question 1. Remember, panel members type in the internal.
And no cheating.
What?
Unless you
No
can get away with it.
Nice to tell you.
She can get away with it.
What ore is aluminium made from? Bad one to start. What ore is aluminium made from?
Everybody's typing.
Yeah,
at the same
everybody
time.
knows it.
Let me say it twice too.
No, just wait for the peanuts to catch up.
I know
couldn't be
this
bothered
says.
spelling it the same way as everyone else.
Yay, Fred!
I love the spelling. Oh, that's brilliant.
That's the place where the dog is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tony and Fred are correct. First each with bauxite.
Peter, I helped you out with the spelling.
What is the winter counterpart to estivation?
Huh?
Kind of have to know what estivation is.
Haven't a clue.
I've never heard
I
of
also
this.
have no idea.
A winter counterpart to estivation.
Google. Estivation. Estivation.
Estivation. I said estivation.
I'm just spelling it over. Not de-estivation, no.
It's a good a guess as any.
Whoa, well
I
done.
tried.
Tony and Carl Edwards. The correct answer
Oh.
is hybrid.
Okay.
Oh, as in you don't hibernate.
Sorry, Seeker, you've missed out there.
No, you do hibernate, yeah. Oh, blimey, they're still in the airlock. Poor sods.
Taking forever to get out.
Yeah.
What organ did Aristotle think the blood cooled?
I mean, yeah, I'd say the same, but that was my first thought. But
So the blood cooled something in the body. Okay.
Yes. Carl Edwards and farmers, the brain. Well done. What nut is used in the manufacture of dynamite?
A nut?
Yep.
and it's not a hex nut.
Oh, Gravity, I think you found another nut.
Ooh.
No, yeah.
Or it might be the same nut.
I don't know.
I don't know.
A 3/8 Scriptly. A 10 mil.
Fred Bailey, can I have the questions before the answers, please? Side chat, you should all know this.
There you go. That gives it away.
¿Qué pasa? We're doing a quiz, colon. Okay, can't wait all day. It's a peanut. Well done to Tony.
Too late, Carl.
What What's the name of the point at which condensation begins?
Oh. Oh shit! It wasn't quick enough.
You always try and design it so it happens on the outside of the wall and not the inside.
Yep, Carl Edwards and
E Monk.
And
E-Monk.
Well
Yep.
done. 2 point.
That touch typing helps.
What is nutty slack?
What is what?
Nutty.
Your balls on a hot day.
Too busy giggling in here. So
Yeah, I
nobody's
know. I'm
vote
trying to
on-
hear the
I
question.
don't know.
That's all I can hear.
And Carl Edwards has got it.
How
out.
is it?
It's coal.
Really? Didn't know that. I heard of it, but I didn't know what it was.
Okay, now you need to listen to this one.
The extra stretch in my underwear after I've worn them. What, have you got unfeasibly large balls or something? What's your name, Buster Gonad?
I think he's wearing them wrong. That's who I
Could be.
Possibly that it's not his underwear.
Okay.
It could work as well.
How many days will it be before a clock losing 30 minutes a day shows the right time again?
Numbers and stuff.
Terry, can I borrow your fingers for a second? 4, 5, 6, 7.
I could do the math, but I'd have to work it out on.
You need to borrow some toes?
I run out of
Or
toes.
not? How many days will it be?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out. How many hours in a day times by.
Just as a piece of trivia, there are 86,400 seconds in a day.
I was just going to say that.
You were not.
Only because I did the multiplication last night.
3,600 seconds in an hour.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's the one I do remember.
Well, I remember that because
440 minutes in a day.
so often when I'm looking at plant, particularly pumps, sometimes they're rated at so many, litres per hour, and then you need to know what it is in litres a second,
Dora forgot the question.
and such like and so forth.
How many days will it be before a clock losing 30 minutes a day shows the right time again?
Excuse
Pardon?
me.
So when the stream started, they were already fully suited up, and that was 74 minutes ago. And they're still in the airlock.
I reckon it's that number. That number
rush,
there.
I guess.
Going by my calculation, I reckon that's the right number.
Uh-huh. No, nobody's got it outside. Can't wait all day. Or even 24 days.
Yeah. And does anyone want to know how I worked it out with my math?
Yeah, because I couldn't.
I just worked it out by 1 hour per day, and then doubled it.
The answer is 24 days. Okay, Tony.
I reckon it'll only be a day. Because then this person with OCD will walk over to it and change the time on it.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay, what type of bomb is a Mills bomb? MILLS.
Well, that was quick, Tony. On Farmer.
There's several myths surrounding them as well, like their shape and the contours.
Yep, Fred Bailey and Farmer's Boy. It's a hand grenade. Well done.
Oh, that's not good.
Isn't it?
is not a phrase you want to hear while discussing hand grenades.
No.
It's even worse of a thing to hear when the surgeon's about to open your head up.
Have you?
Yeah, no,
have,
I just-
have any of you
Everybody
seen?
get down. He just threw the pin.
Yeah.
That's it.
I just knocked the USB receiver for my keyboard off the top of my desk down the back.
Okay.
Ah.
A word that you never want to hear around nuclear physics or hand grenades is whoops.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen Jojo Rabbit?
Doesn't
No,
ring
not
any
yet.
bells.
Yeah, the film. Okay. It's a film about a kid whose imaginary friend is Hitler.
Oh, that one. I've read the reviews of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very funny.
Is it?
But yes, it is.
Oh,
It's
right.
really, 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 really good. But there's a scene in it where there's a German soldier teaching all of these 10-year-olds how to use hand grenades, and it doesn't go well.
Do you know, that's ironic because the traditional German stick grenade is what they call an offensive or an assault grenade. So you throw
Yep.
it and you actually run towards it.
Yep. Well, nobody gets killed in this accident, but
I've seen so
Does
many
anybody
videos.
get separated from body parts?
not any big body parts. No.
I've seen so many videos on YouTube of soldiers being taught how to throw hand grenades, and wherever they're teaching them, there's generally a pit or a ditch in front of them. Because a number of times they throw the grenade and it bounces off the tree, and the instructor just jumps into the pit, pulling the prat with him.
Yeah.
So they don't get blown up. You know.
The
you generally
pit's
have
not
a-
for you. The
You
pit's
generally
not
have a
for you. The
wall
pit is-
or a pit either side of you.
Yeah.
The pit's to kick the grenade into if the idiot
That's it.
drops it.
That's it. But when the
Yeah.
grenade doesn't go into the pit, they do.
Yeah.
That's not a nice feeling when that happens at all.
I bet.
The ones we had, those pits were about foot thick wood. Stood up about chest height.
Right.
And there was a very deep pit right in the front of the thing.
There's always that one soldier with a banana arm that couldn't throw a ball, and it slips out the back of the fingers as they try to throw it, and it kind of lands at the back of the heels. They're the ones that always scared me.
I would say probably not more than maybe 75% of us were actually allowed to touch an actual real live grenade because the guys that couldn't throw it far enough or didn't have an arm or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They just got eliminated from it. You didn't let them have one.
What's the actual? It's like 15 yards or so for the casualty radius.
It all
About
depends.
Depends.
About that, and the average soldier can throw it almost that far, which caused an awful lot of hands to go up when they told us that. I think the kill radio. What was it? It's more like 40 yards, maybe.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't remember the exact numbers, but whatever it was, the kill radius was greater than the distance the average soldier could throw the thing. And we were all like, "Holy shit! What did he just say?"
Just something you want to be. This is where you really want Earth curvature to be working towards you.
Yeah.
And that's what the hell did you just say, Gunnery Sergeant?
Mm-hmm.
I must say, throwing those
There's,
things is rather exhilarating.
That was one of the reasons why the Australian Army changed their grenades, because of their weight compared to the throwing distance of that weight. Like Blue said, a good portion of soldiers couldn't make the safety distance, and we quite often used a lovely sand pit with a old tire in the middle of the sand pit, which was the designated safety distance. And, one in 10 would probably get fairly close to the tyre, and you'd always get that smart aleck, that 1 in 100 that would actually land in the middle of the tyre, and it would literally turn the tyre inside out. But yeah, they changed the Australian ones to make them lighter with the same amount of bang, but a lot less steel, and they used like a spring steel on the inside instead of the traditional cast style grenade.
Pippa, you asking any more questions before?
I reckon that's enough about grenades, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
John Rapp says best tip, please.
I was wondering why Pip was letting us go on for so long.
Okay, next question. What's the positive electrode of a battery called?
Positive.
I always get this one wrong.
Yeah, I had to. Oh, hang on. I had to think about it.
Well, what's the negative
one,
called then, Alan?
What's the other one?
Cathode.
I hope you would know. Yeah, I hope you would realise that I would know that, Terry. Given the name of my chat of my
Well,
server.
whose name did I ask the question to?
Well.
Yeah. And we have a winner, Fred Bailey and Blue, both correct with anode. What order of insects contains the most species?
Oh, those ones.
Oh my goodness.
This one.
Yeah, nice.
That one.
Yeah.
Oh shit, somebody beat me again. Who beat me? Alan did. Alan, you beat me.
Well, it takes so long typing the bloody thing.
Yeah, I'm surprised I beat anybody with my typing today.
Okay.
Nothing in the side chat yet.
I got it right.
No guarantee of that.
Yes, there is.
He did. He just wasn't first. No, it's not Latin.
I think that's what's throwing them off. I think they were trying to.
It's just a little word.
It's 67.
We were looking at lots of them earlier.
What are ants?
The 60s and 70s pop group.
You couldn't spell, but
you might even drive one.
Like I say, we were looking at some earlier.
Yeah.
Hads has got it.
Hads has got it kind of in a roundabout way. It's Beatles and
also known as
John Paul, George and Ringo.
That's it.
What is the only What is the only clockwise rotating planet?
Yeah, I'd say that too.
I thought it was one of the.
Who do I go for? Tony or Blue?
I'd go for Tony.
Okay, I'll go for Tony.
Yes, I'll go for Tony.
There you go.
Well done, Tony. And John Rapp. It's Venus.
Oh, it was Venus. All right, sure.
What is the common name for hydrogen hydroxide?
Oh, I've heard of that.
Oh, oops.
Oops.
Big difference.
Well, I'm out to just kill everyone, so hey.
Oh, they're out in the sunlight.
And we have a correct answer. Irish stew is correct with water. And first in here, according to me, is Tony with water.
See, Carl and I are on the same wavelength.
Not bleach.
Note to self, never accept a glass of water from Mippet.
Yes. Or Carl. Here, have a glass. No, you're fine.
What type of steel did Englishman Harry Brearley invent in 1913?
I was going to give you all some useless information about water, but you went to the next question.
Yeah, carry on.
What, like it's wet?
No, if you drank pure water, you'll die.
I'm not so sure that that's true.
I think it's true. I think everyone that drinks water dies.
Yeah,
Well,
that-
pure water. I'm talking about pure water.
What, as in distilled?
Yeah.
I
think
don't
it's
think
distilled
that it's the distillation. I think if it doesn't have the ions in it, then it's a problem.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's not so much drinking the pure water, it's if you only ever drank pure water.
Yeah.
Right. And the answer is?
Farmer's Boy. It was correct with stainless.
Good old stainless. It isn't.
Sorry, I missed that
What
question. That was my fault.
Definitely not.
Over now, anyway. What fraction of the Earth's gravity is the moon's?
Say that again.
What fraction of the Earth's gravity is the moon's?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm just too slow.
Oh, did I actually make that first? Did I beat farmers?
You did.
You did indeed.
I had a brain fart and I couldn't remember where everything was on the keyboard. That's like, I think that's because I was too busy watching two astronauts out in the sunlight.
I misparsed the question. Is my excuse.
I just happened to have my hand over the numeric keypad. That helped.
Yeah.
Edwin and Alan are correct with 1 6.
Yes.
I had a momentary, is that the gravity or the mass? Of course it's the gravity.
A momentary lapse of reason.
What
Yes.
alloy
Good album.
do tin and lead form? What alloy do tin and lead form?
Oh,
Tin and lead.
I should know this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Dartman. Yep, Fred Bailey and Gravity
Blue.
Pewter.
Actually,
Oh no, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
mine and Peter's answers and Monk's answer are also correct.
Okay.
Except that solder isn't actually, it is an alloy of tin and lead, but it's not.
Usually
It's just a different ratio to pewter. That's all.
You couldn't make them up.
She didn't say a percentage.
No, just said an alloy of tin and lead.
Right to Trivial Pursuit. Keep telling you.
It's not Pip's fault.
What is the most abundant element in the sun?
Oh, that's cheating.
Who?
Yeah.
Who's cheating? Who's
Yeah, but
cheating?
it's right.
All of us.
Somebody else had the right ideas I did.
I think it's also technically wrong because if you're going to do that, you need to capitalize it.
Ah.
Oh, all right then, Mr.
Look, are
Fussy
you
Pants.
writing the rules, Tony? Pip's the adjudicator here.
All right.
In the sun, would it be? Would it not be associated with H2 though?
Well, H2 is a molecular form, not the elemental form.
It's an element, not a molecule. She said element.
Okay.
Peter, you sure you beat me on your end? Because I reckon I was pretty close.
No,
And
I
I'm
reckon.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure in the
it says
sun
so
it
here.
wouldn't. I'm pretty sure in the sun it wouldn't be molecular either.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Irish Stew and Peter. Hydrogen.
Ah,
Well done.
Peter.
Give
it. You had the same idea I did, and I still didn't get it.
What is the name of the engine developed for the Harrier jump jet?
Farmers.
I got it right.
Oh God, the name of the engine.
That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. The other name I came up was actually the prototype
It's not the
Harrier.
name I was thinking. I was thinking of a different
No.
name.
Well, the first name that sprung to mind was actually the prototype of what became the Harrier, but that wasn't the engine.
Oh, okay.
The prototype was the Kestrel.
Yeah, but that still had that engine in it.
Exactly. Yes, it still had that engine in it.
Yes, and we have a correct answer. Hads. And Alan, Pegasus. Well done. What is the term for the water induction process in plants?
Sorry?
What is the term for the water induction process in plants?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I suppose it would be. Yeah.
Oh, it's that one as well.
Could be.
Does it start with C? Because I got the wrong word then.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's
I must
what I
say,
thought.
these spacewalks, these spacewalks would look more impressive if they didn't film them using a potato camera. I mean, what's the resolution of this camera? 144 or 7?
Have they gone out the hatch yet?
Oh yeah. They've been out for a good 20 minutes. They've gone down to the end where they're doing all the work.
It might be that they've just got really crap internet at the minute.
It could, yeah. The resolution's appalling.
What, they don't have fibre?
No. Strangely enough, they don't. If they had fibre, we wouldn't be using rockets.
Yay! Finally, Roma is correct, and Tony is correct with osmosis.
Not reverse osmosis, which is what I'm more familiar with.
How many equal sides are there on a scalene triangle?
Can I have the question? Oh, too late now. They've answered it.
Wow, you guys
Oh,
don't know what a
yeah,
scalene triangle is.
it is, yeah.
Oh, is it?
That was a guess.
Oh yeah. Wait, fastest fingers first and all that, you know.
Yeah.
Tony and Carl, well done. There are none.
That's right. Yeah, think about it now.
That's why I wanted to repeat the question, but because I knew that there was something.
How many
different.
equal sides on a scalene triangle?
Yeah. None. They're all different.
What is a rood 1/4 of? ROOD.
I'm not familiar with that word. A rood is a piece of religious iconography.
Yeah, it's as a measurement.
Oh, guess.
Yep.
Not a clue.
Doris said, "Oops, I missed a meeting due to the quiz." Oops.
I feel like I've steered everybody in the wrong direction.
Correct answer in the chat, in the side chat. It's an acre. A rood is 1/4 of an acre.
Is it really?
It is.
I can picture an acre. I know exactly how big an acre is. Don't ask me how big a hectare is.
Well, see, we just call 1/4 of an acre a 1/4 acre.
An acre, exactly. A 1/4 of an acre, a half an acre, an acre. Boom.
Probably an old English. Okay, what invention does the principle of conservation of energy make impossible?
Good on you, Mippet.
There's actually a flat earth question here, I think. Well, I found one this morning. And well done, Carl Edwards and Monk. Perpetual motion.
I have 2 now.
You have 1. What is rubella better known as?
Sorry?
What is rubella better known as?
Oh, I don't know what you mean there.
Whoops, wrong one.
Oh, I spelt it wrong.
Oh, really?
Spelling don't matter.
No, it's not measles or mumps.
Oh.
It's not measles or mumps. It's a different.
It's the other one. It's the one with the accent.
Don't mention the measles.
We will not mention the water.
Not mention the measles.
That's it. There it is.
Yeah, I did, but I got away with it.
Romer and
Tony.
Me. I'm
German.
happy, Tony.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And a pox on you too, Terry.
Well,
Pox
I
on
couldn't
both your
bother be
houses.
bothered writing chicken and pox, so I just wrote pox.
Sorry, who won that one?
Alan.
That was you, Tony.
Alan,
Well,
you said you
German.
said German measles, didn't you?
Yeah.
Right answer.
Yeah.
Which is
It is
the
chicken
right
pox.
answer.
Rebella.
Oh, okay.
Rubella,
Okay.
German measles.
Okay, yeah, that's so sorry.
Is it?
Sorry.
Which one is it?
Yeah.
Yep. It's
Okay.
German measles.
Rubella is German measles.
Okay.
That's why we all.
I thought you said it wasn't measles.
No, she said it wasn't. Yeah, she said it wasn't
It
measles.
wasn't measles.
It's German measles.
German
Oh,
measles.
okay. Okay.
Why we will not mention the war?
Measles and German measles are different.
Protection from who? See Germans.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I've only just had my MMR jabs.
What does a dipsomaniac crave?
Can you say that a bit clearer?
Dipsomaniac.
Dips.
Dipsomaniac.
Tony beat me this time.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh.
Mm.
I've heard of it, but I can't remember what it was.
I
So,
always
so
knew
much
it by
useless
another name.
information I can retain.
And a pipsomaniac craves funny stories.
Yeah.
Dogs.
A
9
good
o'clock,
reader.
technically, yeah, okay, you can have it because we're here all day. It's alcohol.
I'm a lynxomaniac.
Oh, are you?
I crave tracked vehicles.
And Tony and
Track tensioners.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
back,
always a job for somebody else.
back to perpetual motion again.
Oh,
What wheel did Blaise Pascal invent in a search for perpetual motion?
I know what it looks like. I can't think of its name.
No, Blaise.
Oh,
This could be fun though, I guess.
Can I draw a picture?
Yeah, if you like. There to get annotate on. No, what?
Oh, I hope that's all tethered. He's having a right old rummage in that tool bag for the right bit.
He's throwing his tools everywhere, isn't he?
He is. He's making a right old Charlie's of it.
You put it right at the bottom of your
Hold on.
bag.
Where is it? Is it here somewhere? It's like.
Can't find me zip ties.
Fortunately, I
Does it
think
really?
everything in there is tethered because otherwise it'd be going bloody. It'd be off. It'd be in orbit itself.
Nobody's got it. So, according to Trevor Pursuit, the roulette wheel.
Oh, really?
really?
Oh,
Gosh.
There you go.
Wow.
what a pointless invention.
Yeah. What metal makes up 10% of yellow gold?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Spell
spelled that wrong.
correction, Alan.
Oh.
Geez, Tony, we don't worry about spelling here.
No, God, no.
Yeah,
Or else-
Peter.
or else
I
I'll
can
just
see why
leave.
you don't.
Hey, don't be turning up here and changing the rules just because you don't like them. That's the way they are, because that's the way they are.
But there's far too many dyslexics around here.
All right.
Terry doesn't even finish the words.
No.
And
Hey,
remember, and
Tony,
remember,
all jokes aside, you're lucky my words don't just look like that.
This is true. Yeah.
we don't have time to look for the spell checker.
No.
9 o'clock here says unobtainium.
Unobtainium. Oh dear, oh dear.
Okay, nobody's getting out there, and we have a correct answer in here from E-Monk. It's copper. Oh, Carl, have it. Who invented the reflecting telescope?
Oh, we were doing this one week about that. No, I'm not going to guess his name now.
It's one of those two.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's not him though. It's not him.
No, definitely not
the
him.
last one. The last one couldn't get it to work.
Oh, no, of course not.
Nope, it's not Galileo.
How do they shave?
Oh, our pet Flair got it. Well done. Thank God it's flat, Newton.
No, it was a toss up between those two, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think gravity had a real advantage there.
What line on a map connects all points of the same elevation?
Oh, what are they called? Yeah, what Alan said.
Oh, that way. Yeah,
Yes.
I suppose
that
so.
one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking that way.
Yep, Irish Stew, contour, and
Yeah.
Alan contour. Here's your flat earth question.
Yeah.
Did you know
Where
Google
is-
Earth Pro topography section proves flat Earth?
Nothing proves flat Earth.
Because sea level's at the same place at the same height everywhere.
Okay, here's a flat earth question. It's in Trivial Pursuit, so it must be right. Where is the hub of the world according to the International Flat Earth Society?
Where is the
Hub.
hub?
The hub.
Oh man.
Where is the hub of the world according to the Flat Earth Society? And our flat earthers not first. Carl Edwards. And you know, we back up. E-Monk, North Pole.
Mount Maru.
I was going to say Aristarchus, but I couldn't spell it.
Shut your face.
Shut
your face.
Hold office.
No, it's show your face.
No, it's both. It's shut your face and show your face.
Hey.
I like Stu's Hubbersfield Dole office.
What elements do all organic compounds contain?
Oh, you guys are cheating again, Bacon. At least
Oh.
you kept.
Yeah, but that's correct.
Ah.
Yep,
And it's
right.
capitalised.
Brainry and
I'm doing this from my phone, so I'm allowed to cheat.
Okay.
You're right, okay.
Brainry and E-Monk. Carbon, well done.
And I typed it out this time just because Tony complained.
There you go. You're a good boy.
Who invented the railroad sleeping car in 1859?
Not Sleeping Warrior.
Mr.
Sleeper.
A tired train driver.
Could somebody please teach Gleam that the name for those things that the tracks sit on is indeed sleepers?
Yep.
And not
Yep.
rungs. It's not a bloody ladder. Oh, that winds me up every time he says, "Oh, imagine the two rails and imagine those rungs disappearing." They're not rungs. It's not a bloody ladder, you moron.
Even the concrete ones that they use nowadays, they're still called concrete sleepers. Like they're
yes.
Thank God. Why did you retract your message? It was correct. But we're going to go with Fred Bailey and Alan Evans. Pullman.
What are they called? Pullmans.
That's why they're called Pullmans. What science deals with the motion of projectiles?
Yeah, I'm too slow.
I can't touch type.
yeah.
No, neither can I.
So these people that can touch time should have to do it with their eyes closed.
Yeah.
What difference does that make?
And spell it correctly.
Yeah.
That doesn't make a difference.
Yep. And their thumbs tied together.
Yeah.
No,
While
with their hands
sitting on their
behind their
hands.
backs. Their hands behind their back, Terry.
Yeah.
And that way
To
they can
start
only
with.
use their nose. They can only
And
use their nose the same as me, one finger.
And of course, the answer has the general shape of the world in it.
And ballistics, yes. Ballistics. E-Monk and Karen Edmonds. Well done. Last question, Terry.
Okay.
One. What is sake made from?
You repeat that?
What is sake made from?
Oh,
sake. I thought you said like a sack.
A cup of warm sake.
So I assume we're not talking about the abbreviation for sarcastic.
No.
No.
Fox and E-Monk. Rice.
Woohoo!
That end. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pip.
Thank you, Pip.
thanks, Pip.
Okay, add your scores up.
I have.
I think Carl Edwards in the chat on.
I suspect you're right. Yes, he was certainly up there.
He was on the ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then aren't we all?
Sometimes.
Depends on perspective.
Sorry, I was just poking at the flatties.
Can't believe thank God it's like deleted his.
What on our rapidly spinning cartoon ball Earth?
With
travelling-
SpongeBob cartoon,
That's it.
whatever the
travelling
hell
at
it is.
11 different vectors at 4 million miles an hour with gas pressure next to a vacuum without a container, etc., etc., etc.
Well,
That's-
apparently it's not
That's
open.
rotating at 7.2 times 10 to the minus 5 radians per second.
Oh, what are you talking about, Alan? It's 1,000 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Don't you go getting all technical on us. That's not the flat Earth way. And the sun doesn't set; it just goes away.
No, it hasn't yet. It's still sitting there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Isn't it more 1,600 kilometres an hour?
Ah.
I don't know.
cares about it?
What's this kilometres an hour of which you speak?
It's 1,000 miles an hour, right?
Yes, because we haven't quite gone fully SI over here in the UK. We're still sort of half and half.
Funny, I think of. Sorry, go ahead.
Road speeds and distances on roads and on street signs are legally required to still be in imperial units.
Correct. But everything
So-
else pretty much is SI.
I still
Because
think
we-
in feet and inches for heights for
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Yep.
for people, but
Yep.
everything
Oh,
else
well-
is pretty much kilometres and metres.
We had somebody, because a lot of councils around here went in the UK went over to putting distances on street signs, for walking distances, meters, which is illegal. And there was some bloke was going around and painting them out and painting in the correct distances in yards.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think Alan heard that. I
It's
know I
for
did.
you.
I hope it's not for me.
No, it's not for me.
Somebody got a soundboard with Anton on it.
No.
No, it's me.
That'll be
playing with
Terry
videos?
queuing up the videos. We always know which videos he's queuing up because we always tend to hear the first couple of seconds.
Hello, wonderful person.
I'm not going to play that now.
Okay,
Ooh,
ahoy,
wonderful
hoy.
Andrea.
Unfortunately, I've got to go, guys.
Oh.
But thanks.
Thanks for popping
Thanks
in.
for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
Thanks for
anytime,
being here.
Tony. You're a regular now. We just got to get your avatar sorted out.
I use Zoom meetings for work, so I'm a bit suspicious about having an avatar. They'll think I'm just pretending to be there for the work meetings. So okay, all right. I'll talk to you all later.
Later,
All right, mate. See you
Tony.
later.
See you, Tony.
Press the button. Press the button.
What have we got here?
Not dropped out.
Oh, not yet.
He's still here.
Oh no, that poor astronaut. He's upside down. All the blood will run to his head. Oh no, hang on a minute. No, he's the right way up. The other one's halfway upside down. Oh no.
Oh, they're sideways in a swimming pool. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what. That's a hell of a swimming pool. Hell of a swimming pool.
I see that the water is blue, so it makes it easier to blue screen it. Honest.
Doesn't look very blue at the moment. Looks more sort of yellowy.
That's pee.
Ah, right. They've all been peeing in the pool, have they?
Yeah.
They must have flushed the loo.
Is this the same two that went out the other day?
I know watching.
They've been out there for about half an hour and they're anticipating it's going to be another 7-hour spacewalk.
So what are we looking at? What site are you looking at?
I'm on the NASA YouTube page, and there's currently 15,976 people watching it. Oh, look at that Earth curve.
Oh, I need to go and look.
Even if it is through a wide-angle lens.
It's a fisheye, yeah.
You can see it's a fisheye, but even so, if you corrected that would still most definitely be Earth curve. I mean, how these idiots can go, oh, it's all fake, it's all fake. That's because you want it to be fake for some bizarre bloody reason. Like, why would anybody want to pretend that? Why? And it's still amazing me. Why would anybody want to pretend that the Earth is flat? What's the point? What is the point?
It's never been answered. Well, sorry, the one answer that comes up consistently, because I've heard a few, is from the religious flat community, who say that if they can convince you that the Earth is not a flat plane with a dome over it, then obviously there's no need for God.
But there isn't any need for God.
I think it even goes most of it. It's one step further than that. It's the whole. If it isn't a flat Earth that God created with a dome over it, they're not important.
But they're not important.
Yeah. That's where their problem is. They don't.
No, they want to be important. They want to be special.
That's a bit sad.
I'm important.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm important.
Yes.
I don't give a
have to
bugger
be
what the
important
rest
to
of you
anybody
think.
else.
Yeah, I'm important to me. That's it.
Please.
Well, I've only got...
The word has been spoken.
No, not yet, it hasn't.
Press play, please, Terry.
I was going to say, no need to vote. We're just gonna have a couple of videos and then a story.
Cool.
Story.
A flat Earth idiot believes he's got an experiment which shows how the sun can set on a flat Earth. This I've got to see.
Oh, it's not my favourite.
It is indeed. Ding.
One of the biggest problems with flat Earth is explaining sunrises and sunsets. Today, we're going to have a look at an experiment that's been carried out by a flat earther that he believes explains how this all works to us. I predict a big, fat fail. When will these guys ever realise that they're flogging a dead horse? I will, however, give him 10 out of 10 for actually trying something and posting it on YouTube. Another group of people who deserve 10 out of 10 are my amazing patrons.
Yeah, it's coming through fine here.
Yeah, in here it is, but the
peanuts
not out there.
Out on
Right.
YouTube.
The peanuts are missing out. Sorry, peanuts.
You don't need to rewind it because it was just.
With massive thanks to all my patrons, including new patrons, Deep. Thank you all so very much.
Turn the projector around, please.
Who is this person who is going to prove that sunsets work on a flat Earth? Who is this master of Dunning-Kruger? It's none other than DITRH, Ditter, Dearth, Dirt. You know the guy. Anyway, I believe you have a question that you think you're going to answer. Roll VT. Well, that's a very good question, and one that has been much on my mind in recent times. So, how can it set on a flat Earth? Cool. Looking forward to this.
Okay, here I am. This is my flat Earth counter.
Well, that looks like a perfect model of a flat Earth.
It continues on into the far distance.
So is the flat Earth about 15 feet across then?
I have my camera filming across the surface, slightly above it.
Dick, can I suggest that you stop before posting this on YouTube and look like an idiot? Oh. Too late.
This line here is the path of the sun, and I have this bottle here to show you that it's just over 3 fingers above it.
Well, that's accurate.
So I guess we're going for quite a local sun then.
As we go down, we have our
assortment of fruit,
tropical forest.
Oh.
We have our blue glass cutting board and some more
beer. I assume you've had quite a few before doing this experiment.
mountains, if you will, as the sun continues to the end. 3 fingers.
He should have filled up the sink so he was shooting over water.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Here, I'm going to dim the lights.
So that they match everything else that's dim in that kitchen.
And travel to the sun.
Okay, time for a quick recap. He has his kitchen counter with various objects on it representing mountains and such like. He also has a line strung along a distance above his flat Earth to represent the path of the sun. And now he's going to demonstrate that sun travelling along that path and show us how the sun will set on a flat Earth.
Here we go, my sun. See? And here we go. We follow the sun's path, staying level over our flat stationary counter plane. We cruise over the lower mountains. Of course, this is not to scale.
No shit, Sherlock.
And I could do this much higher if my kitchen was just twice as long. And we will get the same effect. I come to the end, to the firmament, and we stop.
Well, that's all very well, but I was hoping that you would show us what it looks like when you're standing on a flat Earth. Oh, it looks like you're quite good at this.
So here we go. I'm going along the sun's path, keeping it level to the flat Earth. Heading past the mountains. Now, if this was truly the flat Earth, I'd have much more distance to go, and I can even have this much higher to get the same effect. We're just finishing.
Okay, let's see that again in close-up. I may take a couple of snapshots. Brilliant. I suppose you better prove to us that your counter really is as flat as the Earth.
I'm going to remove all of the bumps on the Earth. So that I am above the counter, flat Earth. I'm going to slide this along a perfectly smooth flat Earth. And I'm guessing that it doesn't set.
Now I wonder why that would be.
The Earth has bumps.
And so does your head, and I think that you need to have your bumps felt.
To show that I am above the counter of the flat Earth, I'm going to just slide this along a perfectly smooth flat Earth. And I'm guessing that it doesn't set.
So you've done your experiment. Now let's have the results. Well, I can see one or two problems with this. First of all, let's look at a couple of those snapshots I took earlier on. The first one was taken while the sun was quite high overhead. The second one when it was just about to go behind your mountains. Let's just superimpose them. As your sun moves further away from you, due to perspective, its angular size changes. It's quite plain to see that as it's gone further away, it appears smaller. Your problem is that our sun does not. During the course of a day, its angular size does not change. That's a fail. So already your model does not reflect reality. But there's more. I assume in your model of fail, the sun carries on at a constant velocity. That means that as it moves further away, due to perspective, it will apparently slow down. But we know that that's not the case. We know that the sun moves at 15 degrees per hour because that's the speed that the Earth rotates. Thanks, Bob. Now your model shows the sun setting behind mountains. If the path of the sun is taking it towards mountains, it will set behind those mountains just like your image. So in reality, we do see the bottom half of the sun cut off by mountains and other lumps and bumps on the Earth. So what about the ocean? You flat earthers are always trying to use water finds its own level as proof of a flat Earth. So if you have that ocean, that is the equivalent of your counter in your model without all the lumps and bumps on. So you can busy yourself sliding your sun up and down your kitchen counter. It will never set. There are no lumps and bumps on the ocean. There are no mountains for that sun to be cut off by. So how do you think it happens in reality? The angular size of the sun doesn't change because it's basically exactly the same distance away from us throughout the entire day. As the Earth rotates, and at the end of the day, the sun does get hidden. It disappears from the bottom up, sometimes because it's hidden behind mountains, other times because it's just hidden beyond the curve of the Earth. But despite your experiment to show us how the sun can set on a flat Earth, you know the truth, because when you moved your mountains out the way to replicate your flat ocean, what did you think would happen about the sun setting?
And I'm guessing that it doesn't set.
So I would say that you have just debunked the flat Earth, you silly goose. Until next time, stay sensible.
Shut up and sit down.
YouTube, where you can openly lie to morons and they lap it up.
And pay you for it.
And pay you for the privilege.
Yeah, yeah, quite amazing.
And show everybody how not to do science.
Yep. Yeah, so flat Earth's got nothing. They can't even explain the movement of the sun during any given day. So if they can't do that, what's the point about arguing about anything else?
One says, I think Darth has been in lockdown too long. He's been making shit. But wait, it's Darth.
Yes. It's what he does.
I think that's the most objects ever used in an experiment at one time.
Yeah.
Just grab everything out of your kitchen cupboards and throw it on the bench.
Clean that bloody mess up.
Yeah. He did clean it up. He moved everything off the bench, eventually. Unless his missus come into the kitchen like, was it CC?
CC.
Oh,
yeah.
CC. Chris.
Not that shit. I still not to this day. I don't understand why you posted that.
No, I don't.
Yeah. It doesn't strike me as the sharpest crayon in the box.
No.
Yeah, he's almost that rejected clear crayon, isn't he?
Yeah.
Or the broken crayon. Ah, who we got now? Oh, we got that Aussie bloke.
Isaac?
No, Blue.
Oh. That or is he bloke? I forgot about him.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he's from yet.
I'm sorry. Were you talking to me? I was out on my dick.
Hello, you dick. Look, you're supposed to be Aussie,
That's
not
New-
Kiwi. Now, don't jump
That's
ship
the New
on
Zealand
us.
accent.
I got it. I'm so confused.
You are. You just think you're from New Zealand. We'll have to pick a town for you to be from over here.
Well, yeah, you pick.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know the neighborhood, so you guys will have to help me out.
What do you? You pick the state. Do you want to be New South Wales, Queensland, or Victoria? Or...
No, you want to be in South Oz, Blue. Trust me.
No, you don't, Blue.
You do, because it's the only place that doesn't have COVID. So you want to come here.
You can go to South Australia if you don't mind going back in time 50 years.
And I grew up in a place. I grew up in a place called Yankalilla, and I think that'd be perfectly appropriate for you.
It sounds painful.
There's a lovely place in Queensland called Woodenbong.
Write these down. I might need them for next week.
Yeah.
Well, if you want temperate weather and average weather, it's not too freezing cold and raining every day like Melbourne. Wollongong's okay. No Coonabarra.
Yes, it's got it.
They're all diseased. Come here.
No, we're all right here. We haven't had any cases here.
Yeah, but you've got to be north of Wollongong. You know, Wollongong or north, or else it's too cold.
Byron Bay. I know somebody
Oh,
who lives
yes.
in Byron Bay.
Oh.
You could be neighbours with Ross.
Oh,
Jesus
Lord.
Christ, what are you trying to do to the poor man?
Interesting fact,
Oh.
Terry. Ross may have came from your favourite racetrack. Just saying.
Ah, okay. Out that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, we're talking about the C word.
Play, please. Terry.
Yes. That's happening.
A while back, Chris Berry did a video where he attempted to explain Coriolis force as a simple optical trick using nothing more than a Nerf gun, a bicycle wheel, and a cell phone camera. And that resulted in the obvious disaster. After I did a video showing Chris what a mess that was, he's decided to come back and double down on his experiment. And you're just not going to believe this until you see it. Warning. Severe facial and monitor damage alert is in effect. Get out the oven mitts. Push the... No, don't push... Tell you what, put your monitors in some other room because this dumpster fire is already raging. Before we listen to this video, let's do a little frame of reference 101, shall we? In physics, a frame of reference, or reference frame, consists of an abstract coordinate system and a set of physical reference points that uniquely fix, that is, locate and orient, the coordinate system and standardized measurements within that frame. What you see here is a frame of reference. It has a center point and it has 3 points that give us unit vectors in the X, Y, and Z directions. That is all there is to a frame of reference. And things don't leave one frame of reference and go into some other frame of reference. Everything is in every frame of reference all the time. In fact, around that single point, we could have an infinite number of frames of reference. What happens if we turn it like that? The center point didn't move, but we moved the axes, rotated them in a different orientation. This is now a different frame of reference from the one we looked at previously. So keep that in mind as you watch Chris make a complete mess of this.
Let's take a look at what Coriolis effect is. I've already Googled it, Coriolis effect. In physics, the Coriolis force is an inertial or fictitious force that acts on objects that are in motion within a frame of reference that rotates, so that's one frame of reference, with respect to an inertial frame, that's a second frame. So we know we need a reference frame that rotates, aka non-inertial reference frame, and an inertial frame.
So right off the bat, Chris demonstrates that he has no idea what a frame of reference is, or why an inertial frame of reference is even mentioned. That's because he gets his information from Nathan No Balls Oakley and questionable education. Chris doesn't realize that the information coming from those two guys is about as useful as a pile of bird shit on a doorknob.
So let's look at the definitions of what those are. Let's start with inertial frame. An inertial frame of reference in classical physics and special relativity possesses the property that in this frame of reference, a body with a zero net force acting upon it does not accelerate. That is, such a body is at rest or moving at a constant velocity. Okay, so Blue Marble Science criticized my first video saying that there was deceleration on the Nerf gun. Okay, fine.
No, Chris, what I was criticizing is the fact that you fired a projectile in a gravitational field and you did it parallel to the axis of rotation of your non-inertial reference frame, in which case, by definition, there is no Coriolis force. All you see is the ballistic trajectory of a projectile. That's what I was criticizing.
So what else can we do to test this? Either moving at constant velocity or at rest. Okay, so we can test this on a body at rest as the inertial reference frame, non-inertial reference frame. Frame of reference that is undergoing acceleration with respect to an inertial frame. Okay, so we know that something that's spinning like a roundabout or the earth or a tire is experiencing angular acceleration. Okay, so that is the non-inertial reference frame. So let's take a look at a couple videos I did earlier, left to right attempt. So I'm going to pause this. So same setup, except this time what happens is I put this blue piece of tape this tape roll on my fence, and it's sitting still, so it's at rest, right? So in other words, all the forces on it are equal. It's not moving in any direction. It's not accelerating. It's at rest. And we just read that the initial frame can be at rest. So let's see what happens.
Oh my god.
Well, look, we get the same. Wow, look, we get the same pattern that I got on my first series of videos that Blue Marble said was not Coriolis effect.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on, Chris. You have outdone yourself with stupid this time, son. Coriolis force 101. In physics, the Coriolis force is an inertial fictitious force that acts on objects that are in motion within a frame of reference that rotates. Again, in motion within a frame of reference that rotates, Chris. Waving your cell phone around at a tree stump does not induce Coriolis effect in the tree stump. Jesus.
This example, which demonstrates the same thing, by the way, absolutely is an example of Coriolis effect. We're doing everything we need to do to reproduce Coriolis effect. We have let me back it up. We have an inertial frame, which is the tape on the fence at rest, and we have the non-inertial frame, which is the spinning tire. That's it. You have 2 points of view, right? If you were looking at if the tape were looking at the tire, the tape is going to know that the tire is spinning. The camera, but when you look at it from this view, you're not really sure if the tape is moving in this arc pattern or is it the tire. Now, obviously, we know because it's a simple setup.
Alan! 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 Al! Alan! Alan! Alan!
Hey!
Alan! 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 Steve! 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 Steve!
But that's sort of the point of it. And then just to confirm the other direction again, I did that too. So let's take a look. So again, we see the arced pattern. So Blue Marble's wrong. He doesn't understand what reference frames are. He doesn't understand Coriolis effect. That's it. Simple. Once again, so I have to go out. He makes a hit piece on me. He doesn't demonstrate how I got wrong. He just adds some stupid cheesy graphics and claims that I got it wrong, but doesn't actually do any tests or experiments himself. So it's real sad he has to resort to that. But when you go out and do it yourself, you realize, yeah, that's what's going to happen with two different frames of reference. One standing still at rest, inertial. One spinning, non-inertial. You get the curve pattern. It's an apparent. Basically, it's the apparent deflection that you get here. So, look, it's common sense. Unfortunately, a lot of people in this realm, or in this debate rather, they just don't have much common sense. So.
Well, you got one thing right. You're not using 1 ounce of common sense when it comes to this. Again, the Coriolis force is an inertial fictitious force that acts on objects that are in motion within a frame of reference that rotates. Nothing happens in the inertial reference frame. You are intent that you're going to somehow or the other shoehorn that into the discussion. But there are no fictitious forces arising in an inertial frame of reference. It's just that simple. So let's take a look at the rest of the article concerning Coriolis force. You really ought to read all of this and not just the first sentence. So let's focus on this very superficially. This describes all of the fictitious forces that arise in a rotating frame of reference. The one you're most familiar with would be centrifugal force. That's the one you can experience when you go around a sharp curve in the car and you feel like something is pushing you to the outside of the turn. Nothing is actually pushing you. That is the fictitious centrifugal force. Euler force is another fictitious force that arises in a rotating frame of reference. That's the force that makes you feel like you're being pushed backward on a merry-go-round when the merry-go-round starts up. It depends on the rate of change of angular velocity. What we want to look at is Coriolis force, and I'm going to focus on that highlighted section. Let me blow it up so we can read it a little better. Notice the Euler and centrifugal forces depend on the position vector r' of the object, while the Coriolis force depends on the object's velocity, v', as measured in the rotating reference frame. As expected, for non-rotating inertial frame of reference, omega equals 0, the Coriolis force and all other fictitious forces disappear. The forces also disappear for zero mass, as the Coriolis force is proportional to a cross product of two vectors. It is perpendicular to both vectors, in this case the object's velocity and the frame's rotation vector. It therefore follows that, the very first bullet, if the velocity is parallel to the rotation axis, the Coriolis force is 0. For example, on Earth, this situation occurs for a body on the equator moving north or south relative to the Earth's surface. This is exactly what was wrong with your Nerf ball demonstration, Chris. You fired a projectile exactly parallel to the rotation axis of the non-inertial frame of reference. There would be no Coriolis effect whatsoever in that case. Now, why is that? Vector cross products 101. The cross product of two vectors A and B is defined only in three-dimensional space and is denoted by A cross B. The cross product A cross B is defined as a vector C that is perpendicular, orthogonal, there's that word you guys love, to both A and B with a direction given by the right-hand rule and a magnitude equal to the area of the parallelogram that the vectors span. We can write that equation that way. A cross B equals the magnitude of A times the magnitude of B times the sine of the angle between those two vectors times a unit vector n. That is simply the area of that parallelogram formed by A and B. What happens when we line A and B up with each other? Angle theta becomes 0. And if angle theta becomes 0, the sine of theta is 0, and that results in no Coriolis force. But let's look at something else while we're at it. Let's check out the last two bullets down here at the bottom. If the velocity is in the direction of rotation, the Coriolis force is outward from the axis. For example, on Earth, this situation occurs for a body on the equator moving east relative to the Earth's surface. It would move upward as seen by an observer on the surface. This effect, it's also known as the Eötvös effect, was discussed by Galileo in 1632. Now, conversely, if the velocity is against the direction of rotation, the Coriolis force is inward to the axis. On Earth, this situation occurs for a body on the equator moving west, which would deflect downward as seen by an observer. This was demonstrated in the early 1900s. The weight of an object on a ship moving eastward would be less than the weight of the same object on the same ship if it was moving westward. You guys are constantly demanding proof of Coriolis. This guy did a video that gives you some proof of Coriolis. This guy set up this rifle and two targets. One target 1,000 yards to his west, a second target 1,000 yards to his east, and he fired 3 rounds at each of the targets. For the target to his west, the 3 rounds struck 8 inches below the center of the target. For the target to his east, the rounds struck 3 inches high of the target, a total of about 11 inches. I'm going to leave a link to this video in the description. I suggest you watch it. This is an excellent demonstration of Coriolis. Hopefully, Chris will stop running around his backyard, waving his cell phone and shooting Nerf balls at the fence. Hopefully, the other flat earthers will stop worrying about the infinite number of inertial reference frames that have no bearing whatsoever on the Coriolis force. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this. But remember, Chris, when I say how stupid can you be, that isn't a challenge, it's a question. Hey guys, hit those little buttons down there. I would really appreciate it. Click the bell if you want notifications. And a special shout out to the Patreons. You guys are super. Thank you so much for everything you do. And with that, I guess we'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out of here.
We showed a example of this a while back. We were doing Coriolis, and I had a video of a bloke filming people on a little roundabout, and I think there was 4 people, and each one of them had, or one person went to throw the ball. No, they rotated the little roundabout, and the one person had to throw the ball across to the person across from them. Well, obviously the ball wasn't going to go to them. It was going to follow the path, follow the straight path from where they threw it, and it didn't land on the person across from them. And they showed a video of it. I think they had a camera down, looking down at it, and you could actually see the curve of actually curving. Oh, it was cool, that.
Curving in relation to the roundabout.
Yeah.
Oh, Terry, you must type in the side chat.
I must type in the side chat.
Yeah, no one can tag you.
Although maybe we should wait until Pip's back.
Lou, I'd like to thank you for starting that fairy tale in the classic Southern fashion. But you ain't gonna believe this.
I can't type in the side chat because I've got no spanner.
Doesn't stop you typing in the side chat.
No.
Well,
like you just did.
Yeah, but I got no spanner. Somebody might time me out.
Oh dear.
Whoa. Oh dear.
Who would do that, Terry?
Hang on. Oh, Carl.
Ooh, Carl.
Boom.
All right. Thank you, Carl.
Now he's a timed out.
Now Terry's not going to talk to us.
No, that's it.
Terry,
that's
you conspired against them.
That's it. Shy's over. Bye.
Terry was asking about the Aussie perspective, timed out peanut, and he said he wanted merch, and we said the only way he could get it was if he got timed out.
So now he's officially a timed out peanut.
Yeah.
There we go.
So now you can.
Now you can have merch.
Now you can have the merch.
So I was just wondering with that, Blue. Do you think Chris Berry kind of gets Coriolis of the Coriolis thing and Star Child's just mixed up?
I don't know what he does. I have no idea.
Because if he was to turn around and say that he was demonstrating Star Trails, he was probably closer to the mark.
Yeah.
Well, that would be, that would be more or less how Star Trails work. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is
Especially
He's been listening to Sleeping Warrior and Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser. That's the problem.
Mm.
And those guys have had Coriolis screwed up from the beginning. What they don't get is the reference to an inertial reference frame. Well, that's just physics speak. Anytime you hear this sort of thing discussed, if you hear a rotating frame of reference discussed in physics, you will always say a rotating frame of reference with respect to an inertial frame of reference. That's just part of the jargon.
Yeah.
It's not that a damn thing happens in the inertial frame. It's just to say that the thing we're talking about is actually rotating compared to some point of reference.
Yeah.
So in the roundabout thing, is the ball the inertial frame of reference, and the roundabout's the rotating frame of reference?
No, the inertial frame of reference is an external stationary. If you put a camera above the roundabout and don't rotate the camera, that's your inertial frame of reference.
Okay.
That is an inertial frame of reference.
Okay.
Yeah.
There can be
effectively the ground is the inertial frame.
Yeah, or any point you pick that's not moving. And there is no, these guys get the idea that a frame of reference is actually a physical thing, and it's not. It's simply a coordinate system. That's all it boils down to. And that's what I was trying to point out to these fools. You're not in a frame of you're not in any particular frame of reference. You're in every frame of reference all the time. It just depends on which one of those you pick to observe something else. That's all.
I think
it's not that hard.
I always you know the story, or the thought experiment that Albert did with the train and the speed of light and all of that, with the lightning strikes and all of that. It wasn't until I had that explained to me in a totally different way than how it's quite often explained until I fully understood it. Like, the whole concept of two lightning strikes hitting at the same time, but because of where I'm observing it from, makes them hit at different times. It just kind of blew my mind for a while. And I think that's one of the things that they have problems like just grasping that they try to use that whole frame of reference like that to bamboozle anyone that's listening.
Yeah, I've not been able to figure out whether they actually understand it and they're intentionally doing this, or they just genuinely don't understand. I think Nathan Oakley genuinely does not understand.
I lean that way for QE as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be. Yeah, they treat frames of reference like they're rooms in the house. You can't be in the living room and the den at the same time. If you want to go into the den, you have to leave the living room. If you want to go you can't be in the non-inertial frame of reference and the inertial frame of reference at the same time. Oh, yes, you can. And yes, you are.
Well, we've been recently assured that Cartesian coordinate systems must exist within a box. So
yes.
Yeah. Well, when you don't understand that part, oh boy.
Yeah. And I'd just like to point out that he brought up common sense, which I'm going to call it. It's so uncommon now. It's a freaking superpower.
Yes. He doesn't possess any, does he?
So many people don't, but flat earthers especially so.
And it's the projection. Oh, this is so simple, but so many of them don't understand it. Yeah, we noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. I get the idea that, and I understand that trying to wrap your head around vectors and vector cross products and dot products and determinants and all that sort of stuff is not for everybody. And a great number of people will never have been exposed to it, and they don't really want to learn about it. And that's fine. You don't need to. You don't have to. But the
They can
principle
barely
of Coriolis
comprehend normals in 2 dimensions, so add a third dimension that messes them up.
Arithmetic's hard enough for a lot of those guys. Yeah.
I understand.
But that doesn't mean that some of us don't understand it. I understand it. I can do all of that. A lot of people can do all of that. So if you can't do it, that's fine. Just listen to the people that can.
That's why I like my roundabout example. When I view that, I can sort of see it visually without the numbers and all that.
Yeah, you don't have to have all the numbers. You don't have to have all the math. It all makes sense.
But not watching that idiot do it, because that didn't make sense.
I used the roundabout to explain to my 12-year-old son the difference between centrifugal force and centripetal force.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard.
Yeah, the one that isn't real is the only one you can feel. What a pain in the ass.
I know.
Life's just not fair, is it?
No.
Those are emergent forces. As soon as the roundabout stops turning, they disappear. Boom, gone. They were never there. And as soon as it turns, all of those forces come back.
Yep.
Magic.
Well, because you're forcing stuff to do something it doesn't want to do.
It doesn't want to change its vector.
No, it doesn't. You're making stuff go in a circle. And the only way you're going to make it is to force it. And the only way you can do that is to apply force to it.
Stop making sense, Blue. Jesus, you're going to blow someone's brain out.
They go on and on about how gravity isn't a force. And I'm not even going to go into Riley's bollocks when it comes to that.
No.
But if there was no gravity, why do I feel pressure on the bottom of my feet when I stand? What is causing that?
Because you're fat.
I think centrifugal force is a great analogy to gravity.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect analogy to it. You know damn good and well when you're in the car going around a sharp turn, nobody is pushing on you. Nothing is touching you. Not a thing. There is nothing pushing you, yet you feel that. And it feels like a force, and it acts like a force. And keep your hand off the door handle, you'll end up outside the car.
Yeah.
And gravity is the same thing in many respects. Okay, you want to say it's not a force? That's fine. It acts like one. And as long as it acts like one and it behaves like one, we'll just call it a force. What's the problem with that?
That's right. It doesn't matter whether you use Newtonian or Einsteinian gravity. It still results in an acceleration downwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And F equals MA.
Yes. Mass times area.
That's it. God, I'd about lost it at that.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Mass times area. Good
Mass times area. Which one of the numpties said that?
Skid
I
mark.
think that was that Spurs?
Yeah, that was skid mark.
Skid Mark said force is mass times area.
Yep, he said the A stood for area.
Oh, Lord.
Quite.
Just when you think you've reached the bottom of the sea of derp, you go over a ledge.
As Blue keeps
At
saying.
least he didn't say mass times amps.
Well, that's true. As Blue keeps saying, it's a question, not a challenge.
It's a bottomless well of dirt.
It is.
Yeah, it certainly is.
I mean, just when you think they can't come up with anything stupider, they say something like, air only has weight when it's in a container that's closed.
Yeah.
How?
Mass only appears when it's contained.
Yeah, it's not weight; it was mass.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
only
God.
only if you've got a container that can have pressure. That's what causes
Actually,
the
I think
pressure.
you all
It's in the
missed my
container.
favourite equation with A in it. EO, area over distance.
Old MacDonald
Had a farm.
E-R-E-R.
Yes, that's exactly how I learned it, Pip. From the old McDonald's, using the old McDonald's song. That was what I used. That is what we used to learn that equation.
Oh, we're
The
finishing off here.
capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor.
We're finishing off here now with the story.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What have we got?
Which one?
The very last
one, I
one
hope.
I grabbed. Yes, and I'll give you the video, Peanuts.
Weird town names from around the world. Bumpass, Virginia. You can thank the Bumpass family whose Sion Jack Bumpass brought this hilarious town name into being, and thus transformed this slice of the northeast corner of Virginia into an oddity traveller's mecca. Favourite traveller's resort? The Virginia State Tourism Board's website. Bumpass is for lovers. Intercourse, Pennsylvania. In the heart of southeastern Pennsylvania's Amish country, and the setting for the Harrison Ford Kelly McGillis flick Witness, it seems as though Intercourse is positioned to be the least likely place in America to live up to its name. That said, travellers be warned. Intercourse is less than 10 miles away from Blue Ball, Pennsylvania, so be very careful when setting your GPS, or else plan for an entirely more disappointing weekend away. I'm going to pronounce this Fuking. Fuking, Austria. Welcome to Intercourse's more brazen sister city, 20 miles north of Salzburg. The village folk, population 104, got sick and tired of English-speaking tourists stealing their Fuking signage. So in 2004, after a vote to change the name of the town after 800 years failed to pass, they decided to install theft-resistant signs welded to steel. Once visitors realised they couldn't easily rip up a route marker, they started filming themselves in the act in front of the signpost. In 2009, the Fookingers got tired of it and installed CCTV cameras. Be forewarned. Gobbler's Knob. Gobbler's Knob, Pennsylvania, the rural area a couple of miles outside of Piscataway, garners the world's attention as much for its weather-predicting groundhog as its vaguely hilarious name. The Knob may be a peaceful place for most of the year, but it should be avoided at all costs for the knobs that gather in the early morning hours each February the 2nd. I'm not even sure I said Punska, I don't know.
Punxsutawney.
Hell, Norway. Believe it or not, the founders of this burg in southwestern Norway named it Hell after the Old Norse word heller, which translates to overhang. Not the feeling you get from eating lutefisk. Hell's one of the colder places in the world. In fact, it's actually frozen over a third of the year. Dildo, Canada. According to Wikipedia, this town got its name from the phallus-shaped pin stuck in the edging of a rowboat to act as a pivot for the oar. Sure, Canadians, whatever you say. Favourite local tourism site? TripAdvisor's Dildo Vacations. Be sure to open that one in an incognito browser. or face awkward questions from girlfriends, roommates, and HR. Twat, Scotland. Believe it or not, Scotland has 2 twats. That's a lot more than that, but never mind. There's one on the Orkney Islands and another on the Shetland Islands, and both of them are equally snicker-worthy.
There's one in here too.
Our extensive research reveals that the only thing to do in either twat is stand next to the road sign with an arrow pointing your way. Etymology. The name comes from an Old Norse word meaning small parcel of land. Muff Island. One might notice that Muff's awesomely close to Burnfoot, despite being eons beyond it in the schema of funny city names. If you do hit the Irish port city, you'll be happy to know they even have a sanctioned Muff Diving Club. Best time to visit is during the Muff Festival, of course. That's when you'll have the chance to seduce the Muff Queen after you kill it at the lorry pulling competition. Should she not be suitably impressed, attend the bilingual historical walk and try your best Gaelic pickup line. Titty Hill, England. Located in rural Sussex, Titty Hill is a great place to base yourself for trips to nearby Wetwang in Shitterton. Travellers' resources? There ain't any. Good luck. Anis, France. Because how could the idyllic French town of Anis not be on any list? Reason to visit? Only to tell the tale. There is literally no other reason to head to this corner of Burgundy. And I will leave you all with these. The end.
Standing.
I know ugly in Essex.
I'm sticking with 6 Mile Bottom.
I've been getting loads of suggestions this morning, and Irish Stew says that in Muff in Ireland, there's a chip shop called the Fishy Muff.
Yeah, so I know ugly in Essex.
Ugly. Right. I'm going to do another one because there's so many.
Grunty Fen. That's a scary place. Grunty Fen, that's a scary place.
You need to investigate Tasmania, Pip. Tasmania has a shitload of weird place names.
Yeah. Next week is going to be food.
Particularly their knobs, Pip. Tasmania loves to name every single one of their knobs.
Okay.
That's fair.
Well, that looks like that's your lot for tonight. Thanks, Alan. Oh, Gravity's.
There you go, Pip.
Oh, blimey.
Goodness, that's a whole program itself.
Pensioners Bush.
Fish Pot Creek. Yay.
Awesome Wells.
Bottom hole.
The butt of liberty. Anyway, you can investigate.
Humongous hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Humongous point.
Don't, Peter. Just don't.
Come on.
There you go.
It was just there. It wanted to be seen.
That's our lot, is it, Terry?
Yeah,
there you
that's
go.
your lot. Oh, thanks, Alan. Thanks, Monk. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Pip. Thanks, Not a Pheasant Plucker. Thanks, Gravity Guru. Oh, Bacon Earth's there somewhere. Thanks, Miffit. Thanks, Big Blue. Who do we have out there? Fred, Carl, Stewie. Oh, the casual space person turned up.
Yeah.
Tech.
Mossy
John,
Nipple Bend
Boggs.
was his contribution.
Who else did we have? Roma. Huey. Did I miss John? No, I said John. Did I say Fred? Thank God it's flat. Okay then. Oh, good night, Peanuts.
Good night, Peanuts.
Thank you,
Peanuts.
Terry.
Peanuts.
Good night, Peanuts.
Good night.